out from huge piles of concrete debris, but much of the region is in collapse. Survivors now face bitterly cold and snowy weather. Conditions are even more harsh in Syria, where the civil war has dragged on for more than a decade. The relief group Mercy Corps is working to get aid into northern Syria. Kieran Barnes is the group's director for Syrian needs.
We have 1,700 kits that we're able to distribute now. We've managed to procure another 800 hygiene kits and 150 shelter kits. But eventually those supplies are going to run out, maybe in a matter of days, certainly in weeks. So we need both the humanitarian aid to be flowing through with the UN, but we also need the commercial sector to be running as well, so that we can procure directly inside Syria and deliver to people on the ground.
He spoke to NPR's Morning Edition. President Biden welcomes Brazil's president to the White House today. NPR's Carrie Kahn has more.
Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's trip to Washington is being billed as a celebration of democracy, but economic development and migration will also be discussed, says a senior administration official. Climate change is also on the agenda, which both leaders have pledged to combat. This week, Lula launched a massive operation to purge illegal miners from the Amazon. He's expected to ask the U.S. to start contributing to the Amazon Fund for Rainforest Protection. Lula and Biden do not see eye to eye on the war in Ukraine. Lula has proposed forming a so-called peace club made of non-aligned leaders to broker an end to the conflict. Carrie Kahn, NPR News, Rio de Janeiro.
A group of nearly 140 unions, educational, and civic organizations is urging Congress to pass standalone legislation that would raise the nation's debt ceiling. NPR's Windsor Johnston reports that call comes amid a stalemate over whether to lift the borrowing limit.
In a letter to congressional leaders, the organizations, including the American Federation of Teachers and the AFL-CIO, strongly urge lawmakers to pass a clean bill to raise the debt ceiling without hesitation. They warned that failing to do so would put American families and the economy at risk of a catastrophe. The showdown over lifting the borrowing limit has been dragging on for weeks, with both sides far apart on a deal. Some Republicans appear to be using the debt ceiling fight as a bargaining chip to push for cuts in government spending. The White House argues that there have been numerous clean debt ceiling hikes in recent years, including during the Trump administration and when Republicans controlled Congress. Windsor Johnston, NPR News, Washington.
On Wall Street, stocks are mixed. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up nearly 33 points at 33,733. The Nasdaq is down 85 points. It's NPR.
Good morning with the latest from the GBH Newsroom. I'm Henry Santoro in Brookline this beautiful Friday. The MBTA is continuing to face problems when it comes to money and its workers. GBH's Bob C. has more.
Diminishing fare revenues are approaching the worst-case scenario projected amid the pandemic. CFO Marianne O'Hara told the agency's audit subcommittee that as ridership and revenues stagnate, the portion of MBTA expenses paid for with fare money has dropped from 42 to 23%.
This means fare revenue is now supporting less than 1/4 of operating expenses. Thankfully, our non-operating revenues and the state sales taxes have grown enough to offset these fare revenue losses.
Another factor helping the T's bottom line but hindering its service is a decline in payroll expenses thanks to a shortage of workers. Bob C., GBH News, 89.7.
Undergrad employees at Harvard University have launched an effort to unionize. The Harvard Undergraduate Workers Union, formed in late January, created a Twitter account in order to get the word out that while grad students have union representation as teaching fellows, teaching assistants, and course assistants, many undergraduate employees don't have that kind of representation. The movement hopes to gain official union recognition in order to bargain with Harvard for a contract that would guarantee higher wages, more consistent hours, and increased communication from employers. In sports, the Celtics host the Hornets at the Garden tonight. The Bruins are finally back in action tomorrow, and of course, stock up on the chicken wings. The Super Bowl is on Sunday. Sunny, windy, near 60 today, 56 in Boston right now. This is GBH News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation. For more than 95 years, supporting efforts to promote a just, equitable, and sustainable society. More at mott.org. And the listeners who support this NPR station.
Eastern Browdy, I am Marjorie Egan. You're listening to Boston Public Radio, 89.7 GBH. We are broadcasting live as we do every Friday and every Tuesday from the Boston Public Library, and we are streaming on youtube.com/GBH News. When do we have the Mayor and the AG?
Mayor and the AG are here with us on Tuesday, 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, Jamie, on Tuesday is Ask the Mayor for an hour, Mayor Wu. And 1 to 2, Tuesday at the Boston Public Library, will be Andrea Campbell's first appearance for Ask the Governor, an hour of conversation with her. And by the way, later in today's show, not only is it beautiful, should you go outside and come to the library, we heard Mile 12, which is the band that's playing in the 1 o'clock hour rehearsed earlier. They are really spectacular.
Fantastic.
I would stop on by. So in any case, Sunday marks the first Super Bowl where Massachusetts people can actually place legal bets without leaving the state. As soon as the show's over, Marjorie and I are headed over to that parking garage in Everett, you know, the one, to place ours. By the way, is that really what people voted for, to drive to a parking garage at a casino to gamble away their money? In any case, a lot of people are. The text and the phone lines are open at 877-301-8970. We want to hear from you about all aspects of Sunday's Super Bowl. Logistically, is the cost of food putting the kibosh on your elaborate kielbasa spread? What's your 7-layer dip recipe? And for those who see the event as a national day of carousing, should Monday be a federal holiday to recover? And I guess you're welcome to call in and talk about the sports part of it too, because I am from Philadelphia. 877-301-8970. When I saw the headline in the Globe today, and I don't know what the headline was. It was something like, go to a garage at Encore and gamble away your money, or some such thing.
They described
How
it.
perverse is that?
The reporter, Spencer Buell, described the underground garage parking gambling situation as gambling in the concrete underbelly of the casino, gambling on the go. You go up to the 15-minute limit parking space, run out of the car, run into the place with all the little slots and gambling opportunities.
You stay in the garage. That's the beauty of it. You don't even have to enter. Right,
but it's underground. It's
yes,
in the garage.
You know, and by the way, I am a perfect example of it. Kathy Judd-Stein, who's chair of the Gaming Commission, was with us the other day. She was actually terrific. Again, she didn't create the policy. She implemented the policy. Deval Patrick did the casinos. Then there was the sports betting thing that was finally approved by the legislature, which a majority of people support. Do you really think? What do you think of the notion that you could drive into a garage, park your car, run up to some kiosk, and lose $100 or $1,000 or whatever dollars? Is that perverse to you, or is that appealing to you?
Well, they interviewed people that were there. Kevin Sanchez, 29 in Mattapan, said he'd already been to the Express Sportsbook 3 times. He said if you just want to place a quick bet, it's perfect. They got a guy from Jim Slayton who drove in from Melrose. Said he came on Tuesday to pick the Philadelphia Eagles. Then he came back the next day because his wife wanted to bet on them too. They describe it in this Globe story. They got these 20 digital betting kiosks. You do the parking thing for 15 minutes. You go in right next door. It's a little betting kiosk, a handful of flat screens TV. You have a TV show and sports broadcast, of course, and the security guard checks your ID, and you're good to go, Jim.
You know what's fabulous? Those guys you mentioned, I think they're all men you talked about doing that bet. They will all be watching the game together on Sunday from debtor's prison.
Well, you know what?
877-301-8970.
You know what? The other guy that they interviewed, he was wearing a Celtics hoodie. He came in from Andover, Aaron Boise, 22. He said before this, he would go all the way to Rhode Island to do his betting. So at least we're getting the revenue here in Massachusetts.
That's a plus. But let me give you,
can
I tell you something seriously? Even though I'm mocking this, I'm actually thinking of driving over to the garage in Everett. So I am a perfect example of somebody who wouldn't gamble away my money were it not for the ease. And forget March 10th. Remember when Judd Stein was with us, we didn't know what day the online gambling thing where you can bet from in your underwear on the couch in your house. Well, that's March 10th.
March 10th.
Talk about making it easy to lose money. The only good thing, as far as I'm concerned, I know I'm in the minority, people love this, is you can't use a credit card. So you can only gamble away that amount of money, which you have through a debit card or cash if you're going to the casino.
It seems to me they've missed an opportunity, Jim. Drive-through betting like they have at McDonald's and the CVS pharmacy.
No,
you just
sure
drive up in your car, make your bet right there at the little window, and drive out.
Well, don't you think this garage thing is a variation on drive-through betting?
But you do have to drive in, park your car, get out of your car, and go gamble.
Where are you going for your Super Bowl party on? We're not going to focus just on the gambling thing. You are.
Sitting in my house.
What are you making, Marjorie?
Jim, I have no idea.
Prune chicken? Is that what you're making?
I have no idea. But back in the control room at the GBH home studio there in Brighton, they're taking bets, Jim, on the over-under and how many times you say you are from Philadelphia today.
I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles happen to be in the game, and your New England Patriots are not in the game. How hard is that for people, too? That because Tom Terrific, even though you can see TB12 across the street, is not in the game, how much agony are people in as the Patriots are in a state of decline, I think we could say?
Our number is 877-301-8970. How do you feel about gambling? How do you feel about being able to drive in and park your car and gamble and get right back in the car and leave? What's your recipes? Is your special recipe for Super Bowl Sunday? And the big thing, which I think would be a great idea, is to have Monday become the day off or from work, or move the Super Bowl to Saturday. You know, if you're going to get
How
up...
sick is it that we're thinking
Well, if you're going to get up... But it doesn't start till 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
So the game goes on to like 10 o'clock. You have to stay up to watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You're not an American.
What time are you going to bed Sunday night anyway?
Well, then you have to do the post-game. Don't you have to do the post-game analysis?
What do you mean you have to do the
Because I'm a reporter, and you got to people are showing me a picture of Tom Brady in his underwear. Did you see that picture
That's
of
a
Tom
fairly
Brady?
attractive picture. You haven't seen that picture yet?
I think somebody just messed with this picture. Didn't they just mess with this picture?
No, that is the real picture. That is not messing.
That is the real picture?
That is the real
With his
photograph.
hand where it is?
Hand in his crotch. That is correct. That's right. That's where he has his hand.
Gosh, I only saw it from the
Michael
waist
Jackson
up before. I
imitation,
guess I
actually.
missed the hand in the crotch picture
Well,
of
first
Tom
of all,
Brady.
in all fairness, it's not in the crotch. It's on the crotch. It's not in the crotch. We should
Okay,
be fair
I don't
to
know what's happened to
Mr.
Tom Brady. What, didn't he used to be kind of an all-American guy from
He was.
California? Okay, anyway, do you think we should have a holiday? I think it would be nice to
You're not
move
serious.
the Super
You're not
Bowl.
serious.
I think
Oh,
we
to
should move
move
it to
it
a
to
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, move it to Saturday. Then you can stay up as late as you want. You can party with your friends as late as you want. Not have to worry about, or else move the game to like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If they have to start at 11 o'clock in California, we're not in California.
877-301-8970. The part of the Super Bowl I want to talk about is the fact you can gamble legally on it now in Massachusetts. You couldn't before. What's your reaction to that? I assume most of you are ecstatic about it. If you want to talk about the food, talk about the fact that the Patriots have nothing to do with this, whatever moves you with Super Bowl Sunday, which is essentially a national... It's one of the few days of unity in this disunited... Is disunited a word? Disunited?
I think so.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Okay, let's take some calls.
Ryan from Worcester, thank you for calling.
Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Wow, I'm all right. Thanks for having me again.
Sure.
Pleasure.
You know, I was not going to call in, but then I heard y'all talk about this idea of making Monday a post-Super Bowl holiday.
Uh-huh.
Which just seems absurd.
Absurd.
I'm definitely one of these guys that at this point is like, no football, no sports.
Really? Why?
Yeah. I hear this like sort of speak about unity and all of these things, but I tend to look at it another way, and that it's divisive, right? It's a way for folks to just one up one another. My team's better. No, my team's better. And really, so much thought and energy goes into watching grown men play a child's game that I think we could spend our time far.
Wait a second, Ryan, in all due respect, you don't feel some unity with other people that you can watch with your fellow Americans as young men get concussed on a football field? That doesn't appeal to you? Something wrong with you, Ryan. Ryan, thank you for the call. What's that?
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Ryan. We got to go. By the way, here's Mary in Dorchester.
Yeah.
One word, Rihanna. I forgot. That's the halftime show.
That's the halftime show. That's going to be
be.
great. We have from an unnamed texter saying, Jim, may your Eagles win on Sunday. You've converted me to root for your team for this Super Bowl.
Yeah, I have to say, and it's not just because I'm a homer, and obviously I grew up with all the Philadelphia teams, and they're near and dear to my heart. I'm pretty convinced they are winning, even though the quarterback for the Chiefs is arguably one of the 2 or 3 greatest of all time.
You know, Ryan from Milford has a good question.
What's he
Does
say?
legal sports gambling now mean he can say no to his annoying coworker's Super Bowl bracket this year?
What do you mean?
Is it- are there
You're betting
brackets?
in the office? Was
At
it
the
legal
bra-
then? It's illegal now
Yeah.
to bet in the office kind
Okay.
of thing. So, you know that, by the way, for those who do care about these things, I assume they're working out the timing. The March 10th date by which you'll be able to gamble on your phone, on your couch, in your underwear thing we talked about
That's March.
is before March
Not
Madness.
before
So you
March
can bet on
Madness.
the college basketball games about which you know nothing and lose that money too.
Mary from Framingham, thanks for calling.
Hi, Mary. Excellent point, Mary. Thank you for the call. Dave in the car. We'll try to get back to you. You got to pay attention here. Dave in the car. Oops, not Dave in the car. It's going well. Who are we going to? There he is, Dave in the car. Hi, Dave. Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon. Good morning. Whatever it is.
Hi.
So my wife and I go to Hawaii every year, and when we go, it's in October. So we're at a bar, and we realize that on Sunday morning, they're all watching football at 6, 7 in the morning.
That
with
is odd.
Jerseys on, drinking beer, eating wings, partying like it's no tomorrow, and it's regular for them there. It's their thing.
That's pretty
There's
good.
more football. It's more football fans, and if that was the case for everybody, the game's over in the middle of the afternoon. It's a beautiful thing.
And you're drunk.
Yeah.
Dave, Hawaii is 6 hours earlier than California or 3 hours earlier than California?
It's 6 hours behind us, so it's 3 hours.
3 hours earlier.
Wow.
That's pretty good. That's good, Dave. Thank you for the call.
Well,
We
that's
appreciate
kind
it.
of an interesting way to do it. Then you could go home and take a nap and wake up and begin your day again, right?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
not that
also
bad.
like Wimbledon, when Wimbledon is happening, because England is 5 or 6 hours
Ahead of us, yeah.
So the finals are usually at 9 a.m. in the morning. Ron DeSantis, I know, is your favorite governor, endorsed your idea for a national holiday the day after. And what he's doing so that people don't get more time off is he wants to eliminate Martin Luther King's birthday instead, so that we'll do the Super Bowl rather than MLK.
Monique watching on YouTube says, Super Bowl, national holiday, sure, then maybe Election Day.
Yeah.
She does have a point that what we should really do is have Election Day being a national holiday so people feel that they can, it's okay to have to wait 2 and 3 and 4 hours sometimes in certain states to go vote. 877-301-8970. We're talking about the Super Bowl. What's your recipe? By the way, you're a big cook over there.
I am.
You get your recipe all lined up? Jim,
I'm
you know what
actually
you're
making guacamole for 2 reasons. You know why? Because the prices of avocados have gone down. Plus, I make pretty good guacamole.
Okay.
And I'm
That's very
buying
nice,
chicken
Jim.
wings from Whole Foods. I'm going to eat about 3 dozen myself.
Okay.
That's it. Who's coming to your party, Jim? I am, actually. That would be it.
That's swell.
There's Jim Browdy sitting on the couch with all his friends.
Number's 877-301-8970. You can text us or call us at that number. What are you doing for the Super Bowl? Do you think it should be a national holiday? I think we should move it to Saturday. We're going to take more of your calls and texts up next after this quick pledge
Easy for
break.
you to say.
You're listening to Boston Public Radio, 89.7 GBH, and we are broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library.
It's time to support Boston Public Radio on GBH. Listener contributions pay for the program and keep it on the air. You don't have to give much to make a difference. Please make a difference by giving now at gbhnews.org or by calling 888-897-9424.
Okay, today, one of our enticements is the earbuds, the fantastic earbuds that Jim makes fun of me because I lost them the first day I got them, and that's true. But before I lost them, they were really good earbuds. They were the 89.7 GBH Hi-Fi stereo earbuds, which are only available until our show is over. That means at 2 o'clock, wireless, come in a small charging case. They have the 89.7 GBH logo on the side. They have a really great battery life, and they really do sound good. And I was very distressed when I lost them because they work with your phone, your tablet, your Bluetooth, any Bluetooth-enabled device. That is, if you want to become a member, a sustaining member for $10 a month, which is something that really helps our people plan for the budget the year ahead. You can give $120 all at once if you want to get them, but $10 a month if you want to become a sustaining member. The deadline is 2 o'clock. After that, they will not be available for the rest of the drive. Number again, 888-897-9424 or gbhnews.org.
You know, I never asked you, we have discussed ad nauseum the fact that you lost them on day one
I
in
did,
the mulch,
in the mulch.
when you're gardening.
It was very upsetting.
How many minutes did you have them in your possession before they disappeared?
Like a half an hour.
Enough time to decide they were really high quality?
Yeah, I was going outside because it's fun. You put your earbuds in, you go outside, you do your gardening, listen to music. It's great. And once they go in a pile of mulch, Jim, it's really hard.
You know, it's amazing. When Maeve brought him, our coworker brought him in the studio about a year ago, I put them in my ears, they never fell out. I don't know what that is, but they generally don't. Don't use Marjorie as an example. Make a contribution of any amount you can at 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org. As Marjorie said, if you want the earbuds, which are pretty great and pretty high quality, you got to do $10 a month or $120 at once. And we'll tell you what we tell you every day now. The misconception that everybody operates under, including us not too long ago, is that the primary funding for public media is from the government. In fact, 70% plus is from listener support. People like you, small donations, $5, $10 a month, whatever it is. So if you like what you hear, and I think by definition, since you're listening, you must sort of like what you hear, at least one of us, then call us up, 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org. I know that the fundraisers don't like when we say this. What was Mitt Romney's line? Freeloaders? What are people who don't give?
Free riders.
Free riders. Okay, that is a polite term for if you're listening and not contributing, unlike the person who lives next door to you who's listening and contributing, get with the program. Do whatever you can in whatever amount. 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org. Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. We're live from the Boston Public Library, streaming online at youtube.com/GBH News. We're taking your calls and texts on all things Super Bowl. Unfortunately, no one is apparently concerned about the gambling thing. That's the biggest development in Massachusetts. We've never been able to do it legally before.
Well,
and as we mentioned, based on a story in the Globe, you can go to a garage at the Encore and place your bets.
Well, some people are holding out for a little bit longer. One of them is Doug from Marlborough, who says he's holding out for the time that he can lose the entire house from his couch.
Well, exactly. By the way, here is a person, obviously, just back from Stop and Shop to buy hoagie fixings. Couldn't find any tasty cakes, though. South Jersey girl. Here, what's a hoagie, Marjorie? Do you know?
It's what you call a sub in Philadelphia.
Sub in Philadelphia,
yeah.
That's exactly right. I never heard the term sub or grinder or whatever until, well, that grinder, not the other grinder, until I left Philadelphia.
Greg in Foxborough, thanks for calling.
Hello, Greg.
Hey, guys, you're talking about having a holiday for the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to let you know that when I was late 80s, I was in the Army in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
And they're about 13 or 14 hours ahead of Eastern time zone. So it was on Monday, and we did get a holiday. They just told everyone just take the day off and watch the Super Bowl. So
that's pretty great,
Wait a minute. The Army gave you a day off?
Yes.
Wow. Uncle Sam, that was pretty impressive.
Right?
So I bet there was quite a time the night before, Greg, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so an extra long weekend. Didn't matter if you cared about football or not. Everybody's drunk. It was a great time.
Sounds great. Greg, thanks for the call.
Did you see Martha in Acton who texted about this? She said, when I owned a restaurant, if the Patriots from the Super Bowl, we closed, and then they were always closed on Monday anyway, but if the Patriots in the Super Bowl, they closed altogether, gave up those opportunities for people to come in and spend money on food, Super Bowl Sunday, let the whole staff stay home so they could watch the game.
Okay, so we have a number of texts from different people, all on the same subject, which tells you a lot about our audience.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Steve from Gloucester. George Santos invented online betting in his freshman year at Baruch College. Next text. These are from different people. It's a toss-up. Day after Super Bowl for a holiday or George Santos' birthday. 877
Can't get enough George Santos jokes.
8970 is our number.
Oh, Mary, who tried to call before, she said she got cut off, apparently. I don't know if we did cut her off. If we did, I apologize. But this is Mary from Framingham.
What'd
she
she
says,
say?
I'm en route to Philly as we speak. My brothers tell me the NFL is planning on adding games to next season, which will push the big game to President's Weekend, when people will indeed have Monday off. Is that true?
I don't know. No.
Fly, Eagles, fly, she said.
I haven't read that before.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Actually, the beauty of adding an additional game means even more injuries in the sport, which is what, we have a regular guest, everybody knows this, on Monday, part of the Revs, Emmett Price III, who does not watch the game, even though he's a huge football fan. And why is that, Marjorie?
Because of racism in the sport,
concussions.
because of concussions in the sport, because of he
principle.
thinks the bad way the owners treat the players. He's a very principled guy, and he could be a football player himself.
He's a pretty strong guy. He might have been.
Yeah, he might have been.
So how come you're not exercised over the gambling thing, and I'm out of my mind over it? Why don't you care?
Well, I'm much more libertarian about these kind of things than you. My feeling is if you want to gamble, gamble. You want to do drugs, do drugs.
Do you feel that guy when
idea.
the unemployed carpenter in Plainville we met was shoving $100 bills in the machine?
But you are much more interested than I am in running people's lives,
I am,
Jim.
exactly
That is
correct.
the bottom line.
I am very
You want to tell
interested in
people
that.
what to do. I kind of figure that you're over 21, as long as you're not doing anything that's harmful to somebody else. It might be harmful to your family, but that's up to you.
Well, that is sort of harmful to somebody else. You know what I mean?
It's up to you.
And when the state creates the opportunity for you to do harmful things, it is sort
There's
of your government.
There's a
Do
lot of harmful
you know?
things people do to their family.
Well, that's not much of an argument in favor. The fact that there are other harmful things people do
should they be
is
against
not really a defense.
Should they be against the law, Jim?
What's that?
Those harmful things
Yes,
that people
they should.
do? Okay.
They should be against the law.
Carol and Saugus, thank you for calling.
Hey, Carol.
Hi, how are you?
We're
Fine,
excellent.
thanks.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I think the idea of making it a national holiday the day after is ridiculous.
Why is that?
Well, why don't you do it for every sport? The NBA playoff, tennis, hockey, basketball.
No, we're thinking of a day off after the U.S. Open final. What do you think about that?
I agree with that.
I knew you would.
The golfers.
Or after the Masters, and everybody can catch up on their sleep if they haven't fallen asleep.
That's fabulous. That's an excellent idea. No, Carol, you make good. The only reason you're, by the way, I'm not supportive of the holiday. However, I'm quite convinced the most watched sporting event without a close second, is the Super Bowl. It's like sort of a national kind of deal kind of thing. But Carol, thank you for your thoughts. We appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. 877. Go ahead.
A lot of people are saying they have just donated to get the earbuds. Paul and Worcester said he donated to get the earbuds. So there's a lot of enthusiasm about the earbuds that we're giving away today.
We're not in a pledge at the moment. We're actually talking
but I
about
just
Super
was
Bowl.
reading
You
a
know
lot of
that.
these
Yeah.
text messages about people with the earbuds.
Okay.
And then there was a gentleman who said his college. Did you see this from
No.
Jesse from Fitchburg?
I did not.
I don't understand this. Maybe you do.
Go
My
ahead.
college roommate bet on the Eagles to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season at 4,000 to 1.
I don't
He
think it was
put
4,000 to 1.
$500 down.
Well, what's not to understand?
So what does that mean?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's 4,000-1 because at the beginning of the season, when everybody's got a chance, the odds of any team, unless they're like Tom Brady led or whatever, of winning the Super Bowl are long. So you bet early. The odds of losing are obviously far greater. But if you're lucky enough to win, you win a huge amount of money. So this guy's really, if it is 4,000-1, that's 40,000 for it. That's $2 million. This guy is going to win, assuming his odds were Jesse's odds
Wow.
were correct. $2 million. Yeah, but he's
Now,
going to lose a lot of money.
Do you enjoy the game more or less if you got $2 million riding on it, Jim?
I would assume you enjoy it more if you're winning and probably enjoy it less if you are losing. 877-301-8970 is the phone. How interested are you in this game, by the way? And please
Not
don't say
at
I'm not
all.
a huge football fan. I know you're not.
I'm not at all interested
You're
in
an
the game.
American citizen.
I like the Kansas City quarterback. Everybody likes the Kansas
Mahomes,
City
yeah.
quarterback. I mean, it is interesting. You get two black guys as quarterbacks for the
Quarterback
first time
for the
ever.
Eagles is fabulous
And
guy,
I remember hearing an
Jalen
interview
Hurts.
with Doug Williams, I believe it was, who was the first black quarterback
To
who
win the
played in the
Super
Super
Bowl,
Bowl. And he
I don't
talked
think
about...
he was the I'm not sure he was the first to play. He may have been. He was the first to win.
Well, anyway, he was talking about how he was. Everyone always. His athleticism was never in question. His leadership was, and that was the bias there against black quarterbacks. But I'm happy to see that has obviously gone away with two men that are both leading the Super Bowl that are black guys.
Here's a guy or a woman, I don't know, who texted and said, American football is both a symptom and accelerator of various American problems, sort of like Trump. I'm not sure I understand it, but any text where you mention Donald Trump in a negative way, it's very likely we'll read it on the air. That is sort of our motto kind of thing.
Okay, then a lot of people are also texting about that we should really have a national holiday for voting before we have a national holiday for the Super Bowl.
A lot of countries do have that, by the way.
We should have it.
Yeah.
We should have it, especially when you hear stories about people having to wait 3 and 4 hours in warm weather, sometimes really hot weather to vote. We should make it easy for them not to have to worry about getting the day off from work.
Well, the research suggests that even if you're not in one of those jurisdictions, we got to wait in line for hours. If voting is made easier, everybody who is unlikely to vote becomes more likely to vote. So
okay,
it's
we're
a good
done.
idea. We are done.
Yes, we are. But coming right up right
See
after
you at
this.
Everett at 2 o'clock, everybody. In the garage.
In the garage.
How
in the
pathetic.
concrete bunker. Okay, we're going to talk with Cara Solomon, who runs Everyday Boston, a nonprofit that builds community through the simple act of sharing stories. She's going to join us next with Ronnie Elliott of the Transformational Prison Project to talk about their work building community for formerly incarcerated people. And it's going to be an interactive deal here. We're going to challenge the audience here at the library. And us to a single act of kindness. That is next after this pledge break. You're listening to Boston Public Radio, 89.7 GBH. We are broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library, and we are streaming on youtube.com/GBH News.
You count on Boston Public Radio for context, analysis, and insight. And Boston Public Radio counts on you. Pitch in and keep the conversation going. Call 888-897-9424 or give online at gbhnews.org.
So here's the deal. Most of us call it a gift if you're kind enough to give. Marjorie calls it an enticement, which it feels negative to me, but that is the word you use. Whatever it is, here's the gift, the thing of the day. These 89.7 GBH hi-fi earbuds, $10 a month or $120 all at once. They're embossed, the cases with 89.7 GBH. People like that kind of thing. It also has a little digital thing that tells you how much power is left in them. They're really high quality, and they're a great gift. But let me say what I say every day, and I'm sure it aggravates you, but I'll say it anyway. If the gift is the primary reason you are giving, then there's something wrong with this picture. It's a wonderful add-on, sort of a value-added kind of deal. The primary reason I hope you're giving is because, like Marjorie and me, you like the work that all of our colleagues do on the station. It is really high quality, and it only exists if you support it. So the number is 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org. If you said, I'd love to do the $10 a month or $120 all at once for the earbuds, but I can't afford it, then give $5 one time. Give whatever you can. And if you're rolling in dough, give $5,000. Do what you can that you can afford to support the wonderful work. And by the way, it's not just the on-air people that get all the credit. It's all of the people behind the scenes, too, that produce incredible programming, both educational, provocative, informative, and entertaining here on 89.7 GBH.
Okay, so some of the people that donate to GBH leave comments, listener comments, and we get some every day to read. John from Chestnut Hill says, you and I, Jim, finally shamed him into donating this time around. I guess maybe we're calling him a free rider or freeloader, whatever it was.
He has a smiley face attached to it, though.
Yeah.
So he does, yeah.
Matthew from Newton says, thanks for digging into the issues and providing us with programs that allow time and space for genuine discussion. Lynn from Holliston says, life would not be the same without GBH. Totally makes my day listening to Jim and Marjorie. All Things Considered, Marketplace, and many, many more shows. Thank you, GBH. So that's kind of neat to hear those kind of things from people. Carol from Newton, Upper Falls, thank you for your hard work and honest reporting. It makes my day. You know, long before I ever thought I was going to be in the radio, I used to plan my day around certain shows that I like to hear. If I was going to be driving around in the car, that was before you could podcasts and Sirius radio and all that kind of stuff. So I know what people mean about how it makes their day. Anyway, if you want to donate, we're very grateful to anybody that can give anything, small amount to big amount. 888-897-9424 is the number. The way to give online securely is gbhnews.org.
Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. We're live from the Boston Public Library, streaming online at youtube.com/GBH News. A reminder, Tuesday, we are back at the library, 11 to 12, Ask the Mayor, an hour with Michelle Wu, 1 to 2, an hour with Andrea Campbell. First, Ask the Attorney General with the new Attorney General. They'll both be here in person, obviously. The nonprofit Everyday Boston aims to do something we all need right now, especially as we enter this latest phase of the pandemic, bridge differences and build a stronger sense of community in Boston through personal storytelling, something Marjorie talks about all the time. Their mantra is simple but powerful. Strangers are just neighbors you don't know yet. and everyone could use a little extra kindness. That's the idea behind their 5th annual Love Your Wicked Awesome Neighbor Challenge. We'll explain that in a minute because you're going to be part of it. Joining us now to explain and help us make a homemade card for a stranger, which gives me hives, but I did it, is Cara Solomon. She's the founder of Everyday Boston. Also with us, Ronnie Elliott. He's the Youthful Offender Coordinator from the Transformational Prison Project and a College Readiness Officer with Boston Uncornered. Welcome to you both. Great to see you, Cara. Great to meet you, Ronnie. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you.
And by the way, if you're here in the audience at the BPL, look for our colleague, Annie. Where are you, Annie? Right here. Oh, there she is. Raise your hand. She's going to provide supplies to make this card that's going to be described in a minute.
So, Cara, elaborate on what Jim said. What's the mission here?
Yeah, so for the challenge?
Yes.
You mean? Yes. So it's really simple. As Jim said, we believe that strangers are just neighbors that you don't know yet, and that everyone can use some unexpected kindness, especially now. So basically, every year we call on people of all ages to just sit down, think about the kind of words that they'd like to hear for themselves, write those words down on a piece of paper or a homemade card, and then when Valentine's Day comes around, just hand them out to someone that you don't know. Or you can get us to do it for you.
Now, Cara, when you asked Marjorie, do you mean I should explain the Wicked Awesome, whatever it is, Love Your Wicked Awesome Neighbor Challenge?
Come on now,
what
Jim.
she meant to say was no. We'll get to that in a few minutes. What she intended to say is, Jim just started explaining to you what Everyday Boston was. Could you elaborate on that, please, Cara?
Sure.
That's what she meant to say.
Oh, is that what I meant to say? Thank you, Jim.
Thanks for that.
Tell us a little bit more about
appreciate
that.
Yeah. So Everyday Boston is really all about the power of human connection. So studies, show us that when human beings connect with each other, they're, happier, they're healthier, our communities are safer, they're more equitable, workplaces are more productive. And so what we really want to see is every single person in the city be on the other end of that kind of goodness. And so as an organization, we focus on 2 things that we think will make it easier for people to connect with each other and to do it more often. And that's number 1, listening skills and communication skills. And then the second thing is opportunities to connect. And what we mean by that is sort of not just the people around us, but, the people that we don't know and might not understand.
And Ronnie Elliott, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, and Ronnie, how do you fit into this? What's your deal?
I'm the Youthful Offender Coordinator for TPP, and me and Cara's been trying to partner up to do something like this for the longest, so I was more than happy.
Can you describe, the Transformational Prison Project, and I know a lot of work is with people who are incarcerated, returning people who were incarcerated. We had Armand Coleman, who I met through Cara, the great Armand Coleman, who I know runs this thing, not too long ago. Explain what role people who are currently incarcerated play in this whole project.
Well, for those who don't know, the Transformational Prison Project was initiated inside the prison. It was just individuals like youthful offenders that had the natural life, and when it was overturned, to give us the ability to get parole, then we brought it on the outside. So the founding fathers, and what we do is we help prepare them for their re-entries back into the community, however that we can.
So, but it seems to me, from what I've learned from Cara, it's sort of a twofer. It not only helps the people who were going to experience re-entry after having spent a decent percentage of their life away from the public. You lived through that yourself, I know.
Yes.
But also, what's the advantage to the community which you're about to re-enter? How do we all benefit from that program?
Well, we utilize the restorative justice practices, and by doing that, we have a saying at TPP, hurt people, heal people, heal people. So, me personally, I've dealt with deep-rooted trauma, and I understand it, so it's like, I try to bring a part of my healing back into my community as I re-enter.
And is that working, do you think?
Absolutely.
That's great.
Before we get back to Cara, speaking of stories, tell us stories in terms of what's difficult. I mean, we've heard some of these stories about guys that have been, or women that have been in prison for a long time. They don't know how to use a cell phone, or they don't know how to use a computer, or then there's how do you find a place to live? Tell us some of the things that you encountered that were hard to negotiate after getting out of prison.
I would say one thing would be communication skills, because it's like being in prison and you somewhat become a loner and you can't really trust anybody in there. So it's like coming back out into the community to be able to effectively communicate at a job is like, that was one of the best skills I think I picked up re-entering back into the community.
And that was something somebody taught you in a class, or how'd that come about that you acquired those communication skills?
It was pretty much through classes. It was through communicating with like my support systems, individuals that helped me with my reentry. So like they took me and put me in places where I had to socialize and things like that.
You know, Cara, one of the common threads, it seems, in all this, and you and I have talked about this off the air, is the whole issue of loneliness. And while a lot of us who've been free our whole lives experience it and don't know what to do with it, I was actually talking to you, as you'll recall, right before I had Armand and Sean Ellis on TV with me a few months ago, as something I never thought about with them. And I asked them about loneliness, and they talked about the fact the men with whom they served were their family. They're not only separated from that family when they come out, but also can't spend time with a lot of the people who are also out because the terms of their probation may preclude that. So it seems to me there's a real common thread between loneliness that exists in the general population and from people who are just returning to that. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think Everyday Boston, I mean, obviously Ronnie could speak to this much better than I could, but Everyday Boston really is designed, again, to connect people from different backgrounds. And so, we have a bridge project for incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people. That focuses on how to strengthen listening communication skills through stories, but it's really all about trying to sort of ease that loneliness and break down some of the stereotypes that exist of people coming home and recognize them as contributors to society.
So what do you say to somebody like me? We're going to take a break a minute and then explain this project and how everybody in the audience is going to participate. What do you say to somebody like me who does get hives when I'm told by people like you, why don't you go up and talk to somebody you don't know? Why don't you have a conversation? It's easy to do it on the air when there's sort of it's not so, well, trust me, as compared to walking up to somebody there and saying, hi, it's a pleasure to meet. How do you convert me to that sort of mindset? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, just like you think this is the easiest thing on the planet, and I do not, I think walking up to people is really easy and actually gives me a high. So I think, just smiling at another human being is a big deal. And people sort of, they sort of settle into an openness if you do that. So
we'll give it a try.
Okay.
In a minute.
We're talking to Cara Solomon and Ronnie Elliott. When we come back, we're going to explain more about this Love Your Wicked Awesome Neighbor Challenge. You're listening to Boston Public Radio 89.7, broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library and streaming on youtube.com/GBA.
Think about it. For 3 hours every day, you get to hear thought-provoking conversations on local, national, and international issues for free. It only happens with your support. So please support your Boston Public Radio listening by calling 888-897-9424 or giving online at gbhnews.org.
Okay, we are here at the Boston Public Library, and we are on day 3 of our pledge drive. We have these pledge drives from time to time. This is our winter pledge drive because more than 70% of our money comes from listener support. The generosity really of people that give us $10 a month or $15 a month. Some people give us a lot more than that, and we're grateful for that too. So today we are asking if you are able to contribute what you can. As Jim said before, I mean, okay, if you've been listening to this station for like 20 years, never given something, it's about time that you kind of open the wallet a little bit. If you're a new person, we're also grateful for anyone that's a newbie who likes what they're hearing, because we are on the air, not Jim and I, we're on 15 hours a week, but the station is on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's a lot of programming all weekend and all night and early in the morning. So we get a lot going on here at GBH, and we're grateful for whatever you can give. The number is 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org, and you can contribute there really quickly and really easily and really securely.
And this may sound harsh. Marjorie didn't want to say this. For those who don't contribute by the end of the pledge drive, we're cutting off the listening. That's actually... You will no longer be able to listen to whatever it is that well, unfortunately, we can't do that. Sustaining membership is the best. That means you pick any dollar amount that you want to give monthly. It comes off your credit card, out of your checking account. And if you want to stop it at some point, hopefully you never will, you can do that too. It's only good for you because it's a smaller amount. It comes in regularly. It's great for the people who do the budgets here at GBH because they know what to expect every month. The bottom line is, I'll say it again, give whatever you can if you value what you get from our colleagues here at 89.7. You learn a lot of things. I know I learn a lot of things. I know Marjorie does too. So all you got to do, and it's really quick, is 888-897-9424. You call that number or you go online at gbhnews.org.
Okay, we have a few more seconds in this pledge drive, so I'd like to thank some of the other people.
We have a few more days.
A few more days. We have a few more seconds in this particular pledge pitch, I should say. And I want to thank Shelley from Attleboro. GBH is my go-to station to get relevant and reliable information on our community. You're asking the questions that I would ask and others want answered as well. So we appreciate her. We appreciate Matthew from Newton. Thanks for digging into the issues and providing us with programs that allow time and space for genuine discussion. Those are some of the listener comments from people who've been generous enough to give today. So I hope you can too. The number again is 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
Welcome back to Boston Public Radio, live from the library, streaming online at youtube.com. We're talking with Cara Solomon. She's the founder of Everyday Boston. Ronnie Elliott is the Youthful Offender Coordinator from the Transformational Prison Project and a college readiness officer with Boston Uncornered. And we're talking right now about this Love Your Wicked Awesome Neighbor Challenge. Cara's going to describe it, but here's Jody Ortiz of Fairmount Innovation Lab and Face Me Studios handing out Valentines to strangers in Upham's Corner.
The men need love too. Don't let the girls fool you. You know what? Sure. Men need love too. Here you go. Happy Valentine's Day. Oh, thank you. Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to yourself.
Thank you.
Men need love too.
It's okay. So we've got these Valentines here with little doilies in the back. What are we supposed to do, please? And what is our audience supposed to do?
I think you should have a competition between the two of you to see how many Valentines each of you can hand out.
So?
It does not need to involve doilies, by the way. It can just be a simple piece of paper. But really all you do is just hand it to somebody that you don't know. So give it to the bus driver on your way to work. Give it to somebody in the grocery store. Slip it under somebody's door if you're too afraid. But I would just say back to your question, Jim, about handing them out to strangers. I think it's important to realize this isn't actually about you and your self-consciousness. It's about somebody else. It's about making somebody else feel seen and valued. And so just go for it.
Yeah, Annie is handing out these cards to people in the audience. Some of these are really great. You're the best. Thank you for being in the world. Spread joy as you move through it. Quote, hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul, from Emily Dickinson. Someone out there says, be my Valentine. So,
Well, we talked to this guy that writes about happiness, Arthur C. Brooks. He writes for The Atlantic, and there was this big happiness project that we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, where people go through generations of looking at what makes people happy, and of course connections, social relationships, right. What makes people happy. Yep. But there's also this co-idea that being kind to people really makes you feel better. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's true, Ronnie?
I believe that's a fact.
Yeah? Who have you been kind to lately that was nice to you?
Everyone.
Everyone.
I should try that someday. Maybe it'll work for me, Ronnie.
I mean, this has a practical application in your regular life. Going to the checkout at the supermarket, or just going to the mechanic to get your car fixed. I mean, it's like you can be a real jerk, or you can be really kind to people, can't you?
Mm-hmm. How many people in the audience have not filled out one of these, have filled out one of these things? Okay, that's about half. I would say, and can someone yell out why I have even filled one out. The most antisocial person Marjorie knows. Why has anybody else not filled one out? I'm just curious. You want to yell it out? Of course I don't, Jim. Okay, so does this, the goal was not to find, Cara, a like-minded person. The goal was to find a person. Are you of the school of thought that believes you can actually bridge differences with people, whether they be ideological, racial? You're looking at me like, are you a fool, Jim? Of course you can. Is that what you're saying?
I am looking at you that way, yes. Yes, of course I believe that. I mean, the fact is the details of our lives are totally different, but the outline is all the same because we're all human beings on the planet. So everyone's had a first crush, and everyone's taken a big risk, and everyone's had to let go of someone or something at some point. So, we're all human beings, and so just handing something a note that says, I see you, essentially.
The best book I've read on, I don't know if it's called Social, whatever it is, Bowling Alone by Bud Putnam years ago, about how our society is developed in a way, we don't bowl, we don't go to this, we don't go to that, we have no social, that's essentially what everyday Boston is saying we should be bowling with somebody else. Maybe not literally, but that's the core message, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of gathering right now around certain issues and certain geographies. And I think what we're focused on is, given that we're all human beings on the planet, can we just sit down and share stories about, common universal life experiences? And that's what we do 95% of the time. But then every year we do this Love Your Wicked Awesome Neighbor challenge that uses, a random act of kindness as the tool to bring people together.
Ronnie, before you guys go, I think a lot of people don't know what restorative justice is.
Yeah.
Explain what that is inside prison and outside of prison. What does that mean?
Restorative justice is pretty much, it's an indigenous practice. And it's more like, it's less punitive and it's more like bringing together. So it's like, we don't look at it as you're defining an individual as their bad act.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's an all-encompassing, you come to understand, like, if in my situation, victim, offender, concerned parties, everyone comes together, have a conversation, we figure out the wants and the needs.
The victim and the offender can get together and talk about what happened. That's not easy.
Yes.
Because everybody loses. Isn't that, at the beginning, everybody's losing, and the hope is to make everybody as whole as humanly possible.
But the idea, from just what I've learned, and we learned a lot of it from Tina Cherry, who lost her son, Louis, many, many years ago now. She visited her son's shooter in prison and became involved in his life, which I thought, wow. But you hear these stories do happen.
Yes, they do.
Cara, how do we find out more about Everyday Boston?
everydayboston.org.
So I filled out one of these things. What do you think about that?
I'm very impressed.
You're stunned,
Congratulations.
aren't you? You didn't think I could do it.
Think it was
In fact,
happen.
when you called Jamie, our producer, and said Jim said he would fill one of these out, what did Jamie say to you?
He said he was just being nice.
I was just
not going to happen.
Well,
and I said, I believe in Jim. I know he can do it. And he did.
You and
did.
two others, I think. The organization is fabulous. Everydayboston.org, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ronnie,
thank you very much for coming in.
Good luck
and
with
Ronnie,
your work.
thank you for your work with restorative justice. It really matters. Cara Solomon is the founder of Everyday Boston. Ronnie Elliott is a youthful offender coordinator from the Transformational Prison Project and a college readiness officer with Boston Uncornered. The Love Your Wicked Awesome Neighbor Challenge runs through Valentine's Day. More information at everydayboston.com. Coming up
.org.
Excuse me, everydayboston.org. Callie, Crossley, after the break, you're listening to GBH Radio, broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library.
Boston Public Radio with Jim and Marjorie right here on GBH. Most of the money we spend to bring you this program comes from listener support. I'm asking you to take a few minutes right now to give as generously as you can. Please consider signing up as a monthly sustaining member at gbhnews.org or call us 888-897-9424. Good morning, I'm Mark Cohen. I'm joined today by Zach Finn.
We are looking to receive 12 contributions in the next 6 minutes. Meeting that goal will help us stay on track for the membership drive and ensure we have the money needed to pay for BPR in the months ahead. Please give $10, $15 a month or more on the Sustainer plan and be one of those 12 people needed to give in the next 6 minutes. gbhnews.org or call 888-897-9424.
We hope you can support GBH at $10 a month. We'll say thank you with our wireless hi-fi earbuds, the GBH earbuds. They're only available today, $10 a month or a one-time gift of $120. Hey, you don't have to worry about the battery life. They're super comfortable. These are great new buds that we are offering here. They'll work with your phone, tablet, any Bluetooth-enabled device. The charging case has a nice LED screen. It'll tell you how much battery power you have and when it's all charged. Great feedback for you. So again, sign up as a sustaining member, $10 a month, or give $120 all at once. Ask for the GBH Hi-Fi earbuds. Our deadline for this is coming up at 2 o'clock. After that, they will not be available for the remainder of this drive. So again, support your listening by giving at gbhnews.org or call us 888-897-9424.
From elections to public safety, from a struggling economy to criminal justice, GBH delivers the daily coverage you rely on. In this crucial time of challenge, promise, and possibility for a better tomorrow, GBH must ensure all reporting resources are strong. That's why your financial support is vital right now. gbhnews.org or 888-897-9424.
And we promise to make the giving super easy. It just takes a couple of minutes of your time. All we ask for is your name, some contact information, how much you'd like to give, and how you'd like to pay. We encourage you to become a sustaining member of GBH, but you're always welcome to make a one-time gift if that works for you. It's just a couple of minutes when you go to the phone at 888-897-9424. It's just as easy to do online. Look for the donate button when you find us over at gbhnews.org.
Support GBH at $10 a month and we'll thank you with our wireless hi-fi earbuds, and they are only available today. Battery life and comfort will never be a problem with our new great sounding buds. They'll work with your phone, tablet, or any Bluetooth-enabled device. The charging case features an LED screen with battery display. Sign up as a sustaining member at $10 a month or give $120 all at once and ask for the hi-fi earbuds. That deadline is 2 p.m. and after that they will not be available for the rest of the drive. So please support your listening by giving at gbhnews.org or call 888-897-9424.
Want to send a thanks out to Patty out in Natick, Sam in Cambridge, Anna in Malden. Thank you all for your support today. You're helping us lower that goal now down to 9 more contributions in about the next 4 minutes. We hope you could take a couple of minutes right now. Give as generously as you can to support GBH and what you enjoy listening to on Boston Public Radio with Jim and Marjorie. 888-897-9424, online at gbhnews.org.
I'm asking you to give now to help GBH sustain NPR. Each year, GBH makes a financial commitment to NPR to help pay for the creation and broadcasting of its news programs. We will send NPR more than $250,000 per quarter as part of that bill. Your sustaining membership now of $10 or $20 per month helps GBH honor that quarterly financial commitment and keeps NPR's news programs on GBH for you to hear. gbhnews.org or 888-897-9424.
You listen to GBH throughout the years, so why not spread your membership out the same way by signing up as a sustaining member? You make a reoccurring contribution from your bank account or your credit card. This way your contribution keeps giving all year long. And it really just takes a couple of minutes to set up. Find out how easy it is by going to the phone at 888-897-9424, or if you prefer, go online. Again, look for the donate button when you find us at gbhnews.org.
Become a member of GBH 89.7 and get automatic access to a treasure trove of PBS programs online with GBH Passport. Watch anytime, on any screen, entire new seasons of shows even before they premiere. And you'll even receive GBH Passport in addition to any other thank you gift, including those earbuds. gbhnews.org or 888-897-9424.
That's right. As Zach said, the earbuds are a special offer today. $10 a month on our Sustainer plan or a one-time gift of $120. This is a special limited time offer, though. It's only available until 2 o'clock. Once Jim and Marjorie are done today, that's it. We are taking the earbuds off the table. They are Bluetooth connected. They'll work with your phone, tablet, any Bluetooth-enabled device, and they're super comfortable. We've had samples here, and they really are comfortable, and they work fantastic, sound great as well. We want to make it yours for $10 a month or $120. Ask for the GBH wireless earbuds at 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
You're listening to Boston Public Radio with Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. Just ahead, more smart conversation about what's going on in our community. That's right after an NPR news break, here on GBH News 89.7.
Support for our programs comes from you. And PNC. PNC is giving back to Greater Boston through sponsorships and their early childhood education initiative, PNC Grow Up Great, part of an ongoing commitment to the communities PNC serves. The PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., all rights reserved. And Bryant University, presenting the 26th Annual Women's Summit, Moving Forward Together, on March 16th, with keynotes by Sally Helgeson, Beverly Johnson, and Dr. Daria Long. More at wsummit.bryant.edu.
Trusted. Local. News. You're listening to 89.7 WGBH, HD1 Boston, online at gbhnews.org. GBH News with NPR. What matters to you.
I'm Jim Browdy, head on Boston Public Radio, live from the Boston Public Library. With the beating death of Tyree Nichols and more than a dozen officers facing serious trouble, will the horror in Memphis produce reform? We'll talk with GBH's Callie Crossley about this, laws making it harder for teachers to talk about race in schools, and not just in Florida, and Boston's new reparations task force.
I'm Marjorie Egan. Then media maven Sue O'Connell joins us to discuss increased abuse and harassment towards LGBTQ members of the Twitter community, says must take over. Plus, a kiss on the lips between First Lady Jill Biden and Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff. Oh my. Then Boston-based bluegrass outfit Mile 12 join us for a live Music Friday performance. Their new album, Close Enough to Hear, was just released. It's terrific and you're not going to want to miss this. It's all ahead on Boston Public Radio, 89.7 GBH.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Around-the-clock search for earthquake victims continues in Turkey and neighboring Syria, though hope of finding survivors is fading 4 days after the magnitude 7.8 tremor struck. Today, more people have been found alive. A baby was found, as well as a teenager and a family of 6, all pulled alive from the rubble they'd been trapped in for days in cold temperatures. But the death toll in Turkey and Syria continues to climb. It now exceeds 22,000. Evacuations of those whose homes were destroyed continues as well. NPR's Peter Kenyon reports some of those who remain wonder when they will have a home once again.
In Osmaniye, Turkey, after Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's visit Thursday, people huddled in tents or gathered near the food and water distribution areas. President Erdogan called the earthquake one of the greatest disasters in Turkey's history. 46-year-old Senar Çivik was in Istanbul when her brother called her early Monday morning in a complete panic. She said she knew instantly that something terrible had happened.
Because I never seen him before like this.
5 days after the quake, rescue crews are still pulling survivors from the rubble, some surviving more than 100 hours in the cold winter conditions. Peter Kenyon, NPR News, Osmaniye, Turkey.
As more international aid arrives in Turkey, the Biden administration is taking steps to ensure humanitarian relief reaches Syria, where rebels control certain areas. Here's NPR's Kristen Wright.
The Treasury Department is issuing a special license to authorize 180 days of earthquake relief to Syria. U.S. officials say the new authorization expands upon humanitarian allowances already in effect. This comes as the people of Syria deal with multiple crises, including a 12-year civil war and cholera.
That's Kristen Wright reporting. Violence is escalating in southwestern Pakistan, where separatists have long demanded independence. Local authorities say a military vehicle was struck in a roadside bombing in Kolu. On Wall Street, concerns among shareholders of Adani Group, the large Indian conglomerate, is facing more troubles after having lost $110 billion. We have more from Raksha Kumar.
While Morgan Stanley said it would cut weightings given to Adani stocks, Moody's downgraded its ratings. Both these indices are tracked by global investors to decide how much funds to allocate to the companies. The Adani Group saw a sharp decrease in its value after a US-based short seller, Hindenburg, released a report alleging that the group was involved in stock market manipulation and improper use of offshore tax havens.
That's Raksha Kumar reporting from Bangalore. At last check on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 39 points. This is NPR News.
Good afternoon. With the latest from the GBH Newsroom, I'm Henry Santoro in Brookline today. Activists mark Transit Equity Day with a bus ride and rally for transit justice in Roxbury's Nubian Square today. Speakers called for a more affordable, sustainable, and safer MBTA. Organizer Mela Miles says people who are economically disadvantaged rely on buses the most and need to be more involved in the T's plans to redesign its bus network.
Because the T's community engagement leaves
a lot to be desired, and a lot of people that we've surveyed and questioned did not even know that the T was doing this.
The yearly rally also honors civil rights pioneer Rosa Parks, whose refusal to surrender her seat to a white passenger sparked the pivotal Montgomery bus boycott of 1955 and 1956. A sit-in outside Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey's office yesterday ended with 14 people getting arrested. State House officials say the group, members of Extinction Rebellion, are climate activists who were looking to disrupt business as usual at the State House. This group was also involved in a September protest that blocked morning rush hour traffic across Boston. The group says it'll continue to protest until the governor commits to blocking new fossil fuel infrastructure projects, including Eversource's natural gas pipeline, which is located in Springfield. Meanwhile, the governor was out of the office yesterday, as well as today and the weekend. She's in Washington right now attending the National Governors Association meetings. 57 degrees in Boston. We'll take it. This is GBH News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Imaginable Futures, celebrating the hard work, commitment, and achievements of the 1 in 5 college students who are parents. More at imaginablefutures.com. And the Lemelson Foundation.
Here's Jim Browdy. I am Marjorie Egan. Welcome to the second hour of Boston Public Radio 89.7 GBH. We are broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library, as we do every Tuesday and every Friday, and we are streaming online at youtube.com/GBH News.
Hi again.
Hi.
Now, before we welcome Callie, two things. One, Cara, Ronnie, Annie, our colleague, are all still here. People are still filling out these Valentine's notes, so stay at it. It's actually a beautiful kind of thing. Secondly, if you love Music Friday, what do we call this thing? Music? What do we call it?
Live Music Fridays.
Live Music Friday, as much as we do. In the 1 o'clock hour, what are they called? Mile 12, right?
Oh,
Mile
my
12
gosh.
is playing. We heard them rehearsing.
Bluegrass. They're great.
Well, it's Bluegrass E. I don't know if it's Bluegrass.
E.
I don't know we'll ask them what they do, but it's fabulous music, particularly for a beautiful summer day, a beautiful winter. Go talk about a slip. We're joined now by GBH's Callie Crossley. Callie's the host of Under the Radar with Callie Crossley, which you can catch Sunday nights right here on 89.7 at 6. Also the host of Basic Black, that airs Friday at 7:30. And you can also hear her Callie commentaries on Mondays for GBH's Morning Edition. Good afternoon, Callie Crossley. Hello.
So Callie Crossley, the mayor, Michelle Wu, has created this reparations task force and hoping to look at the impact of racism and slavery in Boston. But explain to people, there is a million things reparations could be. Everybody thinks it's going to get a check for $500 or $5,000 or something. That's not all reparations can be. Tell people about that.
Well, as you know, there are some communities, even as we speak, that have already implemented a kind of reparations program. The people out in the Midwest.
Evanston.
Yes, with regard to housing. Mm-hmm. Just specifically, they went for housing and said, it's very clear. We can look and see how people were really just squeezed out of this because of the heritage of slavery. So here's what we're going to do to fix it. And now, no one can fix it all because it's huge. It's enormous. The impact, if you've watched 1619, is enormous.
Well, people couldn't get mortgages.
Right.
People couldn't get mortgages in certain sections of town, or they got these bogus mortgages where they really got screwed with these balloon payments that people were unaware of.
So, so they decided, let's go in the direction of housing. That's something tangible we can put our hands around. People can see it and understand it and go that way. So there's a million ways, different ways to do it. When we talk about institutions, and the reparations commission that Mayor Wu has just put together, of course now follows Harvard's own, commission, and it's determining $100 million set aside to address what happened there. So there's so many different arenas that are overlapping, and when you talk about what are solutions to it, various ways to address it.
In an act of masochism, I'm a big comments reader, and I read social media posts. I know I shouldn't, but I do. There are a couple of interesting things I think bear repeating. People who are critical of this whole effort, and by the way, we should give credit to the city council. I think they passed the resolution, and Mayor Wu appointed the 10 I think it's 10 members, including 2 11th graders, which
Which
I
I
sort
thought
of
was-
love.
yeah,
I
me
think
too,
it's great.
yeah.
So when you read from people who I'll give the benefit of the doubt to for a minute are not racist, but rather questioning is, we were an abolitionist state. We were the first state to abolish slavery. And what it leaves out of the mix is, you mentioned Harvard and Harvard's self-examination. In Boston, institutions, slaves were owned in this community.
Yeah, that's right.
Well past abolition.
That's
So
correct.
the notion that, those places are different from this place. Well, maybe they are qualitatively, but we are not without warts that need
Well, God,
addressing.
we segregated schools in Boston for years and
That's
years
a
and
wonderful
years.
point,
Well,
too.
that's the direct descendant of what was happening. But just to note that, there were 2 people that had to sue because after the Massachusetts Constitution passed and said everybody's equal, 2 enslaved people sued and said, okay, well, really? Okay. But, nobody was, it was not all honey and roses
No.
here. So people need to understand that.
Well, the Globe just did that great piece about
Yeah.
that married couple. It was in the New
Yes.
York Times as
Yeah.
well, who came to Boston. They escaped in this harrowing escape from the South.
Right.
Then they had to worry about being turned back by slave catchers here.
Well, exactly. I have on my wall in my office actually one of the copies of the postings that were around Boston that said, we're looking for you, and if we catch you, this is what's going to happen. And if people haven't gone on the tour, which is a great tour for the Museum of African American History, it's really chilling to be led by the park rangers down the alley going into the museum, which was a safe house.
Yeah.
And so, as the park rangers have said, if you could make it there, you would be safe. But if you couldn't, you could be returned to wherever folks thought they quote unquote owned you.
Too many people in Boston don't even know that museum exists here,
I know,
by the
it's
way.
fabulous.
And it is really fabulous up there on Beacon
Yes,
Hill, and you
yes.
should just Google it, check it out,
Yeah.
and it's a wonderful experience. We're talking to Callie Crossley.
Callie Crossley, who is from, do you still have family in Memphis?
Yes, my sister
I am
lives there.
dying to know
Yeah.
what the on-the-ground reaction is to this. Everybody knows about the beating to death of Tyree Nichols. Now have 7 more Memphis officers, in addition to the 6 people that were already, 5 of them fired. One of them is oddly white guy on paid leave.
Right.
I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
But what are people saying?
Oh well, it's the same. People are echoing the same kind of sentiment that is happening in other parts of the country. But obviously, it's in Memphis rather, and so they feel it more closely, and it's horrific. I mean, it's just horrific, and you're left wondering. That could be someone I know on both sides. Like, who are these cops? And I am particularly struck now and just horrified by the guy who took the photos and then sent them out.
That's one of the 5 cops.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Well, he not only took, Marjorie made the point yesterday, beyond the
Yeah.
fact that he texted out 5 photos of Tyree Nichols after he'd been beaten to a pulp, he got there late and I guess in
When
a
he was
gratuitous
already
act,
beaten to a pulp.
kicked him in either the head or
the
close to
upper
his
body.
head as sort of a gratuitous, I want to join my brothers in this
I
vicious,
just don't,
deadly behavior. The thing we discussed, I think it was with Michael Curry yesterday, I'm not optimistic about any positive change in this country on anything.
Yeah.
With this Supreme Court, with whatever. Sandy Hook, I think everybody I know said, this is going to produce gun reform. When you gunned down 26 and 7-year-olds, of course it did not. Uvalde caused a little bit of reaction. George Floyd, Tyree Nichols, I don't see the spots where there is a receptivity to police reform in places where it didn't exist 2 weeks ago. Do you, or is this?
I do not. I think that, again, and this is something we've talked about on this show, I've written about and we've discussed. I think one of the ways that could get people's attention seriously is if the insurance companies, and this is happening, stop backing up cities to pay for the civil lawsuits that inevitably come from this. I mean, a lot of people are unaware of the millions and millions of dollars that cities have paid to insurance companies so that they can then pay off the families who have been grievously harmed. It's crazy.
It's so weird though to think that the insurance companies that most of us are not that fond of could come to the rescue in terms of police reform, or in terms of climate, with no longer insuring the people who have mansions on the water, so that the taxpayers don't get stuck having to build these walls and stuff. You don't expect really to the insurance companies to be bailing us out in any front, do you?
But if some of the quote-unquote bad apples had to deal with direct payment for all of this, then people would start paying attention. And that's not great, but that's not nothing. So, that's the only thing I can think of that will get people's attention.
The fraudulent behavior. Renee Graham wrote on Martin Luther King's Day, I just thought of this a minute ago, about all the Republicans who vote against everything that Martin Luther King stood for, celebrate him, in quotes, on Martin Luther King Day. When Tyree Nichols' parents were at the State of the Union, and they stood, and you could almost, through the television screen, feel the pain and courage to even be there, obviously because they love their kid. And everybody's applauding. And I know I'm stating the obvious, that 50% of the people in the room have no intention of doing anything that ensures that there's not another family who had another kid they loved who is taken away from them.
Actively work against
That's
it.
it's exactly
it's just disgusting. But nobody's calling them on it, so I think, as often happens when money talks, then at some point, so I'm thinking reform comes through the back, because after these cities have to look at paying out this money and saying we can't hide behind the insurance companies anymore, then a lot of taxpayers are going to say, wait a minute, now what now? We're doing what? And oh, by the way, you knew this guy had a history and you rehired him or allowed him to be, or she be rehired? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
The one thing, when you said no one calls them out on it, I think I got this right because I was eating at this particular moment during the State of the Union. Didn't Biden the other night call out people who voted against the infrastructure bill, who went to the dedication of infrastructure projects, and with a smile on his face said, "You're going to be there too, or I'll do it with you too." Because I mean, it's obviously to compare. If I offended someone, I'm not comparing an infrastructure project with the loss of a life, but I'm talking about deceit and fraud. You've read these stories where these people go back home after voting against the bills and then celebrate the funding that's coming into their community from the bill they voted against in their advertisements
for re-election. It's just really, and they don't get called out enough for this, as far as I agree.
I just got a text from someone, and I hope that they're accurate. They told me Tucker Carlson, it's a big star on Fox News, is talking about how people want $5 million per person for reformation. So that's the kind of misinformation. Reparation.
What people?
Black people. I mean, that's kind of the misinformation.
One person is that who's...
Where was it? I didn't get the list. Nobody...
Exactly. That's right. Any day now, the check is coming in the mail, according to Tucker Carlson.
But one last thing before we take a break on this, though. I said this to Michael Curry, and I think he was respectfully dismissive, because he said, if you still have to educate people about this, they're not on your side. I'm not sure I totally agree. I think a lot of people of goodwill do think that all reparations mean. That maybe in some place it does. You get a check. It may be greater educational opportunity. It may be more affordable mortgages. It may be a variety of things that are societal.
We've talked with you about the GI Bill, which I think a lot of people was everybody. Well, it wasn't everybody,
It wasn't everybody. No, my father was never bitter about anything except that.
I didn't know that.
It just burned him up. I've talked about this a lot, that black GIs were very restricted about how they... First of all, they almost didn't get it. And the guy that introduced the bill tried to take it back when he realized, it would go to everybody, not just white GIs. But once the GI Bill was put through, black GIs were constrained about where they could use it. And my father very much wanted to live in a different place, and he could not get the mortgage there. They redlined him to several places. He just was always angry about that. And, that's very real. But you're right. People don't know.
By the way, Cornell William Brooks, former president of the NAACP, I don't know why it just occurred to me, co-wrote a brilliant op-ed in the Boston Globe about a year ago on this very point. If you want to learn a little something, I did.
And I'll
Google
mention
him
it again because a lot of people won't read a whole book, but the Ta-Nehisi Coates thing in the Atlantic about reparations, I thought opened a lot of eyes about the redlining and the mortgages and all that kind of stuff.
And so then think about it just in terms of myself. So my father did not get to build any kind of generational wealth, so here I am. So my sister and I start off behind.
$250 grand and $8.
That's right.
That's where it comes from.
So angry about this.
Yeah.
And he did the same job that all the other people did. So, come on.
We got to take a break, Marjorie.
Oh, we have to take a break. Okay. We are talking with Callie Crossley. We're going to keep talking with her after a quick break. You're listening to 89.7 GBH, Boston Public Radio. We are broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library and streaming online at youtube.com/GBH News.
You know that interview you just heard? Only on Boston Public Radio can you hear conversations like that every day, commercial-free. Instead, we ask you to step up and show your support every now and then. So pitch in at gbhnews.org or call 888-897-9424.
Okay, so here's the deal. The gift today, if you give $10 a month or $120 all at once, are these fabulous, really high quality, terrific sound earbuds. The case is emblazoned 89.7 GBH hi-fi stereo earbuds. These are, I'm holding in my hand, the ones that Marjorie lost in the mulch, actually, in Brookline. $10 a month, $120 all at once. You just call 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org. This is a fabulous gift. I just want to say one time, though, Denise watching on YouTube posted, when did this week's fundraising start? I'm afraid I have missed a special BPR gift, like another smug mug. I'm already a sustaining member. I just always give extra. I shouldn't even say this because you should contribute today. The smug mug will make a return one day only on Monday.
It will.
It's a new one, and it's smug.
Do you still look
Trust
smug?
me.
You look smug?
I look smugger than ever. Let me tell you, that's coming on Monday. But today, there's a fabulous gift. The earbuds at 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
Yeah, we really appreciate what people can give. I always say this, but why not say it again, Marjorie, that if we did not do these occasional pledge breaks, drives, and this is our winter drive, we would have commercials, and they would be 5, 6, 7 minutes long, and they'd be 3 times an hour. So you have to sit through all those horrible commercials. And instead of that, we basically beg you for money a few times a year, and we very much appreciate what people can give. I know it's a hard time for people with inflation and so forth, but, and wages and all that. But if you can give us $5, that would be awesome. That's enough to get you to be a member. That's not a bad deal. You get the nice little magazine, the GBH magazine, tells you everything that's going on, right? But if you can give more than that, like $10 to become a sustaining member, $10 a month, you're eligible for all these wonderful prizes. Today we have the earbuds, which are great because I did use them before I tragically lost them. Minutes. And I have another pair now, and they're very, very good, and they work very, very well. They don't come out of your ear that easily either, so that's a big improvement.
By the way, we should say, this is only Marjorie Egan. She paid for these. When you work at a place, you feel they'll throw you a pair of earbuds.
Well, I try to steal the prizes. I haven't been successful. May comes in and takes them back.
It's actually, it was really great. The number's 888.
Trying to sneak out with the felt hat yesterday, but
888-897-9424. gbhnews.org. Do it today before the weekend. You'll feel great. It's great for us. It's a good feeling when you give, especially here. 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org. Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. We're continuing our discussion at the library with Callie Crossley. Let's leave doom and gloom behind for 5 minutes, Marjorie, if we can.
Yes, let's leave that behind because I want to play a little music now. People may remember, if you're as old as we are, grew up at least in part of the 60s, the great Burt Bacharach, who did a million songs with the great Dionne Warwick, who is still performing. You may remember some of their great music, Wishing and Hope and The Look of Love. This was Burt Bacharach, What's New Pussycat, and then the stuff he did with Dionne Warwick. Where is it? Walk On By, that we're going to play in just a second.
Why don't you play it?
We're going to play it right now.
Just a little.
This is Dionne Warwick, Walk On By.
Each time we meet, walk on by.
Dusty Springfield, Luther Vandross, zillions of wildly talented people. This guy was really something, I'll tell you, Burt Bacharach.
I didn't know half of the songs that were his until I read the obituary today.
Well, I discovered reading all of the long pieces about him that he had written. One of my favorites that I didn't know he read. the Fifth Dimension, one less bell to answer.
I didn't know that either.
One less bell to answer.
That's beautiful.
One less egg to fry.
Woo!
One less man to pick up after. I should be happy, but all I do is cry.
Wow! Woo!
Live Music Friday here at the Boston
A secret
Public
member
Library.
of the Fifth Dimension is with us today.
Wow.
I love that song.
That was great. That was beautiful
awesome.
rendition, too.
So he was like 94.
Yeah.
He got married four
He wasn't
was it
like
four
94.
Times,
He
five
was
times?
94.
Yeah,
Four times. I couldn't believe it. This guy was, you know.
He played the theme from The Look of Love, Dusty Springfield's song, the Casino Royale, This Guy's in Love with You, a #1 hit by Herb Alpert, the Tijuana Brass. Remember them?
I just can't believe he had some of
They
these songs.
longed to be close to you. Now, if you happen to be in school in the 60s or 70s, there were a lot of last dances at school dances. You know, remember in 7th grade or 10th grade or something, ended with Close to
But
You.
Marjorie,
The
you're acting like
Carpenters.
he was all stuck in the 60s. His songs have been covered by everybody.
They have.
For
They have.
everything. So people know his music very well. You know?
Yeah. Anyway.
Even if they don't know he wrote it, you know, they know his music very
I didn't know
well.
he was married to Angie Dickinson.
He was.
I
knew
didn't know.
that.
I did know that.
Yeah.
No. I didn't know he was married to the last person he was actually married to, the fourth.
Yeah, sometimes that
Yeah.
happens. You know, these guys,
Yeah.
these famous guys.
Yeah.
The 4th time is the charm.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the 5th time it's the charm.
You know, I think there's
I know.
nothing quite like
Or-
mentioning how many times you're married when you die at 94.
Well,
It's really
You know what
so
it
glad
is?
you
They're
brought
too
that up.
tired at that point to keep chasing women, so they stay with the last
You know
one
what
they
he
got.
also wrote? Speaking of things we didn't know, another song I love, Patti LaBelle and Michael McDonald's
Oh, yeah.
On My Own is fabulous.
On my own.
Go ahead, come on.
Go
I
ahead.
don't know the next line.
Just sing us into the next segment, will
On
you?
my own. You know.
Were you in the Wellesley College Choir?
Were you?
No, but as with everything at Wellesley, you know, those who do sing are beautiful singers.
Do you know
That's
who
right.
leads the Wells? Our buddy Lisa Graham
That's
leads
right.
the Wellesley
Yes.
chorus now, which is just fabulous.
Yes.
So,
All right.
Marjorie
Yeah,
wants to
this-
spend a
I
few more
think-
minutes talking about his ex-wives. Go ahead.
No, I don't. I want to move on to something which I don't get. This pink sauce
Yeah,
thing.
this
Now,
is
you're
weird.
a foodie
Sounds
expert.
weird. It's great.
Okay, tell us about pink sauce and why we
It's
should
a
have
viral
any interest
thing.
in it. It's a
So it's a
TikTok.
viral thing. It looks kind of putrid, I have to say.
Looks like
It's just-
Pepto-Bismol.
It does.
It does.
You know? And but I thought it made sense to put it on like a coleslaw, and somebody in the article was saying that if you tried it on macaroni salad, that was good. But look, Walmart has now packaged it, so apparently it's quite popular.
Well, it's hard to buy. You go online and
yeah.
sold out. Let's play a little sound. Here's the
Yeah.
TikTok creator. You say her name, Chef Pie. Is that how you? We don't know.
Yeah.
In any case, addressing concerns. She's from Miami about the health and safety of pink sauce, which apparently she's behind. This is a live stream.
What do you mean FDA approved? I don't sell medical products. The pink sauce is not a medical product. The pink sauce don't contribute to your health. I never said that. Did I?
Well, she'll be sued any day now. Here's the content. I looked it up. It does look like Pepto-Bismol, but it is dragon fruit, honey, sunflower seed oil, chili, and garlic. Previous nutrition labels, I don't know where I got this, also listed pink Himalayan sea salt, as well as less than 2% of lemon juice, milk, and citric
Jim,
acid. What?
The crucial thing is what it tastes like. A cross between ranch dressing and fruit-flavored gummy multivitamins.
What's the matter with that?
Oh my
No,
God!
that's
And that they can disguise it by putting it in things like you said, like a pasta salad or something, to try to make it taste less awful. Why?
If it wasn't the gummy bear thing, it maybe would come close to poppy seed dressing. You know, as a little tart, a little crunchy, you know, but otherwise, this is like.
Well, I have to say, I want to do a shot. I haven't tasted it. The plus, to me at least, is you're putting something in a beautiful color that you're not used to experiencing as food. And that's sort of fun, actually.
Yeah.
What's the matter with you? You're like the least adventurous eater.
I just don't want to eat
Marjorie.
pink
If
things.
it were a fruit dip, maybe we'd have a different feel.
that's
of it.
an interesting
You know what I
point.
mean? Because I've seen
Jell-O.
Yeah. Well, no, like if you take some fruit and you have a dip that has a kind of a yogurt.
Strawberries.
Okay, here's the deal.
and-
Forget
yeah.
this pink sauce. Here's the deal I'm going to make with you, which sounds extortionary. We will only allow you to discuss what you're doing on the air this weekend. I mean this. I'm raising my right hand.
Okay.
If you promise to sing one more rendition of One Less Bell to Answer. Yes or no?
Okay, I can do
Okay.
that.
Quickly tell us quickly tell us. We're not really interested in the shows. We want to hear about the singing. What are you doing this weekend?
I got my environmental roundtable. One of our big stories is about vaccines for honeybees, which is really exciting.
Okay.
So I'll leave it there. We have some other stuff. And my second segment is a great book, particularly for Black History Month, called Black Art, The Audacious Legacy of Black Models and Artists in Western Art. It's so snarky, the commentary, and it's so fun. I love her. She's about 3 years old writing it, the author, but it's great. It's wonderful.
Okay, so here it is. Get your recorders ready.
All right,
Callie
now I'll try to do a
Crossley,
little
you may
better.
have heard her. She'll be performing in the lounge on Thursdays.
That's right.
Singing
This was
One
my-
Less
This
Bell
is my
Dancer.
Walter Mitty thing. I wanted to be a little lounge singer.
Hey, by the way, the clock is running. You take as long as you damn please. Here's Callie Crossley. Take it away, Callie.
One less bell to answer, one less egg to fry, one less man to pick up after. I should be happy, but all I do is cry.
Oh, my God.
You heard it here
Boy, you
first.
missed out.
A star is born right here on Boston
I'm
Public
serious.
Radio.
That was great.
Right, I'm no danger to any singer.
Well, that's your opinion. She's
Callie.
going to do It's Raining Men next week on the show, by the way, by the Weather Girls.
Thank you very
Great to
much,
see you,
Callie
Callie.
Crossley. We've been
you,
speaking with
Callie.
GBH's Callie
That was
Crossley.
great.
She's a secret singer. We had no idea.
No longer.
She's also the host of Under the Radar with Callie Crossley. She will be singing on Sunday's show at 6 o'clock right here on GBH2. She's also the host of Basic Black, which airs Friday nights at 7:30. You can hear her Callie commentaries Mondays for GBH's Morning Edition. Thanks a lot, Callie, and thank you for that beautiful moment of singing. Up next, our media maven, Sue O'Connell. You're listening to Boston Public
Live, local, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Jim Browdy, Marjorie Egan, Boston Public Radio. It's here on GBH Radio because of your support. Now's your chance to keep the conversation going. Give online at gbhnews.org or call 888-897-9424.
Let me tell you, those earbuds are going like hotcakes, Jim. We have a lot of commentary from people who have already donated a minimum of $10 a month to get the earbuds. Among them, Brian from Worcester, who says, "Here's hoping I keep my earbuds longer than Marjorie did."
Good.
I'm sure you will, Brian. Sarah from Rockport says, "Marjorie, the earbuds fall out of my ears too." Thank you for the support, Sarah. But she says you can get adapters for our delicate ears. So I hadn't thought of that, but maybe that's what you can do. Marianne from Concord says, "Listen and enjoy most every day, very informative." And they also say that you occasionally make people laugh, Jim, which is very nice too. So that's the deal. That we would love
What's
to get
the
those.
number again if people want to donate?
Well, the number is 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org. And I just want to say how happy it makes us to get those listener comments. It makes you feel very good.
Now, I'd like to say a couple things. You get things, let's just take our show, for example, which I think it's safe to say you don't get anywhere else. We mentioned on Tuesday, Ask the Mayor, 11 to 12. She'll take your calls and questions. I don't think that's happening elsewhere. 1 to 2 on that same show on Tuesday at the library. Andrea Campbell, new Attorney General, doing it. What is the other thing, Marjorie? You have to answer. It's a quiz. I know you hate quizzes. What's the other thing I guarantee you will get on no other radio station, not just in Boston, but in America? What would that be?
Sue O'Connell.
No,
media
forget
maven.
Sue O'Connell.
She's right here, sitting
She's
here.
okay. Think for a second.
I have no idea.
How many shows has Callie Crossley sung on in your estimation?
That is true.
I would say that is worth $10 a month,
born. That's
or
right.
$120 all at once. It means a lot to us and our colleagues. We need
Move
the money.
over Dionne Warwick. That's
Plus,
all I
it
can
really
say.
works in great ways on our psyche when we see those contributions come in, because it obviously means you like something you're hearing here. Please join your fellow listeners and give what you can. 888-897-9424 or online at gbhnews.org. Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. We're live at the Boston Public Library, streaming online at youtube.com/GBH News. A fabulous, fabulous 5-person group called Mile 12 is going to perform for you in about a half hour. So if you're not here and want to see live music up close, I would suggest you join us. But first, if you want to see Sue O'Connell, she's a media maven, I'd come now. Sue is the co-publisher of Bay Windows and the South End News, contributor to Current on NBCLX and NECN. Hello, Sue O'Connell.
Good day.
Good day.
Sue O'Connell, great to see you.
Day.
Our own media maven. So, Sue O'Connell, many
Sue.
times you've mentioned to us that you had several bookies in the family. Your
Yes.
grandmother might have been a bookie.
Just
or-
one, just my
one.
grandmother.
Okay.
Grandmother, yep.
So, do you have the inside scoop on what the bookies think about legalized gambling now that we're going to be able to go to all the casinos and pretty soon do it on our cell phones, right in the couch from home?
I don't, but I mean, gambling is already a state-sanctioned event. Playing the numbers,
True.
you can do at the corner store, instead of calling my grandmother, as you used to have to in the 1960s, where I learned how to count by answering the phone and relaying the numbers to her.
Is that really
she did
true,
it at
by
home.
the way?
Yes,
In the
I swear to
comfort
God.
of home.
I swear to God, on whatever God you want to do. My grandmother was. I could spend an hour talking.
How old were you when you were doing this?
I lived with my grandmother my whole life until 4 or 5 when she passed away. We lived with her in a little summer shack in Revere. My dad, my mom and dad had moved into an apartment that burned down a week after their wedding, so they had to move in with my crazy grandmother.
You're taking numbers bets at 4?
Yeah.
No, you were not.
So my grandfather, who had mustard gas poisoning from World War II, born in like 1890 or something, it took me a while to figure out what he was doing, but we lived immediately between Wonderland, Dog Track, and Suffolk Downs. We lived, if you know Revere, we lived right behind Anna's Pizza, right next to the Blue Line between Shirley Ave. So my grandfather would walk. We'd hope he would come home because he had dementia from the mustard gas poisoning. She would send him out with money, and he would go bet at Suffolk Downs and then bet at Wonderland, and he would pick up the tickets that they had played so she could scam her boss, saying they spent the money on the tickets that people threw away.
That is fabulous.
So we were always in fear that we were going to get killed, because my grandfather was coming home with bags of thrown away tickets.
Oh my God.
So they would call. We had this big, heavy phone. Remember the rotary phone?
Sure.
And the phone would ring, and my grandmother, who I thought was a witch, would say, "Here, talk to Susan," and I was named after her, and give her the numbers, and I would say 1, 7, and that's what would happen. And when my grandmother died, when my grandmother passed away, her chair, she was a big woman, a very big woman. She never got out of this chair. The chair that she sat in went missing. While everybody was taking care of funeral arrangements, and a member of my mother's family came and took the chair, and my mother came home and said, "Where's the chair? That's where she keeps the money." She kept the money in the chair. The chair was gone.
My God.
They went to a dump, which is over where Saratani's was, if you know Revere, which is now an elegant housing place. And they found the chair with the back of the chair cut out. And that caused a big division
So who
in
do
our
we think
family.
took it?
I don't want to say it on the air.
Well, obviously you know, though.
I do know who, yes.
And is that person still living?
They're not with us any longer. But,
so who is it?
I'm not. Yeah, with
Did
my
they
cousin.
share-
I have cousins.
Backwards.
You know I have cousins.
Okay,
Did they
You know I have
share the
cousins.
money, or was the money gone?
No, the money was gone. So that was that. Luckily, we didn't owe anybody
Disgraceful.
anything, or else I might not be here today.
That is incredible.
Okay.
So gambling. I think the bookies have already taken a hit because of the sanctioned gambling, and as people are saying, they've been traveling. It's not so hard to go to Rhode Island if you really want to bet. I mean, it's not the most difficult thing.
No, that's true. So there's a lot of side plots in the State of the Union address, which usually is so boring. But let's focus on two of them. I think the biggest side plot, of course, was what was Jill Biden and Doug Emhoff, the first lady.
What is going on there?
What?
No, I'm saying.
Well, if you noticed when they came in, we studied it over and over again.
Watched it about 20 times this morning.
Jill Biden, who looks stunning in this kind of, I guess
They're
you call it
good-looking
purple
people.
dress.
Both of them are
They're
good-looking people.
She comes down the stairs, walks over to Doug Emhoff, who of course is Kamala Harris' husband.
Second, whatever.
And
Second
like
gentleman.
they've been married for 20 years, they just kiss each other on the lips.
Yeah, well, I have to say this.
What was that about?
I accidentally hugged Jim once. Remember when same-sex marriage was
that
legal?
night,
That night,
Cambridge City
I
Hall.
was so excited to see Jim when I was covering same-sex
I was
marriage.
fairly excited
I
to
didn't
see
really
you
know
too.
him that well. I just hugged him. I was so
Yeah.
excited. So I mean, sometimes enthusiasm.
No. Let me just
Okay.
tell you something. I cannot mention who. I said this to Marjorie, and if you say who I told you, I'm really going to be angry.
Lips are sealed.
Several months ago, I'm at an event where a public official, who is a woman, is there. And I hug the woman.
Yeah.
And she hugs back. And you know one of those things where you hug, you both turn to the side to give one of that, and we both turn to the same side.
And you kiss.
We turn to the same side. I came this close to kissing her on the lips.
Yeah, it
Thank
happens.
God. This was not what happened here. The description, don't even try doing this in defense
I
of
wasn't-
him.
no, I
I
wasn't
watched
gonna
a video.
defend him.
They weren't doing any twisting of their necks. They went right for the mouth-to-mouth kiss.
I want to say
watched
this
it.
about our First Lady, Jill.
What about?
She has, I believe, been very clear that it took her a long time to get used to the amount of affection the Bidens show in their family.
Is that really true? She
Yes,
said it?
I think it's
Oh,
in
I
one
didn't
of
know
her
that.
books that she wrote
Okay.
about that they kiss each other on the lips. They're one of those families. No offense to you, I know.
Well, Tom Brady does that
Yeah,
too. Tom Brady.
And so that it's been taking her a lot to kind of get Joe to stop being Joe, which no one has ever said. One person has accused him of being creepy, but it turns out that wasn't true. Everyone I know who knows him, who has been near him, says he's a handsy guy, likes to hug you. He
Hair
thinks he's
smelling. He loves to smell your
guy,
hair.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But that she, I think, has been immune. I think they have worn her down. So when the first gentleman, second gentleman was coming in for a kiss, she went, we kiss on the lips
but wait
too.
a second.
And
Can I
she
tell
kissed
you?
him.
No, that's a feeble excuse. Because in addition to that being a BS explanation, what we have not mentioned is after they kissed on the lips, Mr. Emhoff put his hand on her behind. Did you see that?
I did not see that. Move
He
her out of
did
the way.
not. Jim is spreading
I
vicious
am
lies.
telling you, that's not true. Watch the video. This is a mouth-to-mouth experience.
Okay.
Which I mean, it's fine. By the way, I'm totally fine if they're
What was
fine
funny
with
about it is no one seemed to be apologetic, saying "whoops." It
Well,
just
he
kind
did
of
look a little cringy when it I have to say, he did look a little like, whether he meant to or
He
not.
went
like
right
I'm,
for it, too.
That's
What are you
because
talking
they were
about?
on camera on national television,
I
coast to
understand.
coast.
Coast to coast.
Maybe they're swingers.
Look at
Who
Callie's
knows?
getting all excited. She's going to look on her phone
Hey,
right now.
Callie, I'm
She's going to be
getting-
singing a different song when she watches this.
I
that's
am
for
getting
sure.
a lot of texts about you. The incentive for the next GBH fundraiser, a CD of Callie singing. That's from Paul and
Amen.
Braintree.
I'll
From
pay.
Paul and Worcester. Callie is channeling her
Absolutely.
inner Shirley Bassey?
Yeah, Shirley
Shirley
Bassey.
Bassey, whoops.
Oh, and
Sorry.
Dionne Warwick is texting, stay out of my lane. Auntie Dionne wants you to stay out of her lane,
And
Callie
Dennis
Crossley.
and Denise from Dennis says, "Go, Callie, have her back on singing and bring her deviled eggs, please." So there you go. We have an
We only have a
outpouring.
few seconds before this break. How about the fact that after this incident, there are pictures of Emhoff doing mouth-to-mouth with Marjorie Taylor Greene? How do you explain that?
He was confused. He
He
thought
was-
she was one of those,
thought
monkeys
it was
who was
Jill
being,
Biden.
Jim
Joe
is
Biden.
spreading fake news.
By the way, you wanted to talk about this, not me.
Jim wanted to talk
It's
about
a
it.
typical low-rent
Yep.
Marjorie kind of topic.
Okay. We're speaking with Sue O'Connell, our media maven. I'm going to keep talking with her after this quick break. You're listening to 89.7 GBH, Boston Public Radio, home of the Star is Born Callie Crossley, another our media maven as well, and us. We'll be right back. We're broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library.
If you listen to Boston Public Radio 3 hours a day, that's 15 hours a week, 60 hours a month, and 720 hours a year. Maybe it's time you pitched in. Call 888-897-9424 or give online at gbhnews.org.
So here's the deal. The gift of the day, or enticement as Marjorie calls it, whatever it is, $10 a month or $120 all at once. You get these fabulous, they really are high quality. I tried them in the studio it was last year. They're really high quality. A little digital read tells you how much power is left. It's emblazoned with a fabulous picture of Doug Emhoff and Jill Biden. It's really terrific. And 89.7 GBH logo. How do you get it? You call 888-897-9424. Go to gbhnews.org. By the way, we never say this. You're not required to leave a little comment like some people do. But if you do, we love them. And if you have an extra 10 seconds to leave a little note to our colleagues, to us,
we love that.
to our producers.
I'm going to read some.
It's not mandated, but please
It really
do
makes
it. 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
Before we get to some of the people who did leave nice comments, I just got a text from someone who says you can go to CVS and get a leash for your earbuds for $3.
Wow.
Do you know about that?
No.
I don't know about that. I'm going to investigate it.
either.
Anyway, here are some really nice ones. This is from Brian in South Boston. I listen almost every day, and even though I don't always agree, the conversation is invaluable to me as a citizen of Boston. That's really nice. Elizabeth in Holbrook, thanks for your wonderful program. Breath of fresh air, factual, entertaining, and professional. And this is one, and we hear this a lot, and it really makes me feel good, that people talk about getting them through the pandemic. We have a bunch of those, too.
You helped get us through the pandemic,
Right.
too, by the way. It's a two-way street.
So anyway, the number is 888-897-9424. You can get a leash for your earbuds, something to think about if you do go for the earbuds today. gbhnews.org, where you can give securely.
Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. Jim Browdy, Marjorie Egan, live at the Boston Public Library, streaming online at youtube.com/GBH News, and we're speaking with media maven Sue O'Connell.
Now, apparently the other big story coming out of the State of the Union, and we always get those big stories right up front here, is what the president meant. He was talking about challenging Republicans who threatened to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act, put a lot of money into climate change, new roads, bridges, that kind of stuff. And what the president said was, oh, okay, you can threaten if you want. As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year. Now, I thought it was fairly obvious what that meant, but there seems to be a lot of consternation about.
Yeah, because he's changed it over every time he's used it over the decades. It has meant. So I think that we know what he meant by it.
What did he mean by it?
He meant best of luck with that, Pally. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I thought if you tick off the coach, best of luck to you, senior year, being able to play.
The first time I heard him say it not long ago, I thought what he meant was that if you're finally focusing in on wanting to play in college, best of luck in your senior year, because you're way behind being able to catch up and do it. Like best of luck. In the past, he said that's what you write on someone's yearbook, which isn't really true because you usually get yearbooks when you've already had your senior year.
Correct.
So why would you say best of luck in your senior year when you're done with your senior year? So who knows what Joe means or where it came from. I think what it means is good luck with that, Pally. As you know, I used to work with Sonny Joe White over at Kiss 108 a million years ago, my very first job. And Sonny used to have a way, if someone was saying something to him, he'd just say, have a nice life. And have a nice life is sort of, I think, what Joe Biden meant by that. It's like any Joe Biden mythology, we have no idea what it comes from or what it meant.
Well, you know what? Speaking of not knowing, Marjorie thought she knew what it meant. You thought you knew what it meant. I had no idea what it meant, but I was nodding in agreement. I'm serious, because it felt right. I mean, it felt like he was challenging these people to take him on something that's wildly popular. So good for him.
He could have said F around and find out. That's what he could have said. Then he would have been down with the kids.
Can we move from one high-profile person to another, Elon Musk? This is a serious thing as opposed to what we've been talking about. There's documentation, this is not a shock, I think, to anybody, that abuse of LGBTQ people has risen astronomically since Elon Musk took over Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, the reality, I know this is one of those things where I talk to real people, they're paying no attention to what's happening on Twitter or what Elon Musk is doing or not doing. But what happens on Twitter for many people, especially for women, for LGBTQ people, for all sorts of folks, is that it's very easy for them, in the past, even before Elon Musk was in charge, to get piled on, to have a whole mob come after them, to go after their DMs, to have people share their personal information, their addresses. There have been, documented people who have taken their life by suicide. There are people who have stopped
as a result
of this abuse. And this was before Elon Musk took over. Elon Musk has taken over, and he has gutted the department. He's gutted a lot of departments, but he's gutted the department that was in charge of moderating this kind of speech. And he has really welcomed back onto the platform, and I'm not even talking about Donald Trump, he's welcomed back onto the platform a number of people, a number of accounts who have really forwarded attacks, there's no other way to say it, attacks against people, and LGBTQ people have been leading that. Now, at the same time, a number of people have left the platform in terms of not using it to the degree that they have in the past, and that has changed it, the numbers somewhat in terms of who's there and who's being abused. But the reality is that Twitter is the Wild West again, and a number of people are just saying we're not going to stay on Twitter and put up with this.
Well, except, I am, Marjorie and I, one of our better qualities is also our worst quality, is we admit what hypocrites we are. I talked about leaving. I haven't left.
Yep.
There are a lot of people. Mayor Wu, for example, is putting her money where her mouth is. Twitter was really her personal account as opposed to her mayoral account, where she's using it virtually not at all, attempting to use Mastodon, which is really not ready for high volume use yet. Is there any evidence, I haven't seen it, and I may have missed it, that there's any real move? It was sort of like everybody's going to leave Spotify after Rogan, like Neil Young did and Joni Mitchell and some people did. Are people actually leaving?
I don't know if people are leaving.
Numbers?
Like, I'm still on, but I'm not nearly using it as much as I was. Yeah, I'm just, first of all, consciously, and also because it's not working the way I want it to work. And what I had hoped, what I had designed it to be for myself and curated myself, it isn't working that way. So there's...
What do you mean?
Well, I had picked a bunch of people that I follow that are really a news feed for me. I've curated I don't just follow anyone. So when I would go to my feed, I would see a variety of people, community leaders from across the nation, and I could just read it like it was a news feed for me.
Right.
And they're not posting as much.
They're not.
And they have a suggested for you follow column now, which in theory sounds like it would work, but because I'm interested in a lot of point of views, I'm getting some really radical nut jobs that I'm not interested in following, and it's a waste of my time to look at. So I'm not using it as much. And the people I follow may still have accounts, but they're not using it as much. Elon Musk recently, according to some news reports this week, was upset that his engagement has been down. Yeah. So he called a meeting and said, "Why is my engagement down?" And people
with him, you mean?
With him, why are my numbers so low? And one of the engineers said, "Well, because people are pretty much over you and not using Twitter as much." And he fired the guy, according to this report.
He has a mere 128 million followers.
Right, and
so. Why, I know you're not you sort of are a business entrepreneur. Why are zillionaire progressive people, if Donald Trump could put together Truth Social, which admittedly is dysfunctional, I don't mean content, but just doesn't work terribly well,
right.
Why aren't a couple of progressive billionaires saying, let's create an alternative to Twitter? It may not have the same level of use, but at least provides an alternative for lazy people like me who should be doing the right thing but are not.
Well, as the great Cara Swisher has pointed out much more eloquently than I could, we keep thinking that things don't have their time and die. I mean, I'm still checking on my Hotmail account and wondering how my MySpace account is doing. It may just be time for this type of interaction to go away or to diminish, and that the idea, Twitter was a once-in-a-lifetime sort of idea that was broken to begin with. Before Elon Musk bought it, there were numbers of really smart people who would say it's not fixable, right? And Elon Musk bought it and made it worse.
Yeah.
So its time may be over, and we may not be engaging in that fashion ever again, but there may be something else that we do.
So before you go, Netflix is clamping down on password sharing. It's adding the list of countries where, you'd have one person, you'd have 5 people using one person's Netflix account, and they're putting an end to that. I guess their profits have been down. So what do you think?
I thought they backed off in the United States. Didn't they back off?
A little bit.
It's not clear how much. They're expanding it in Canada, New Zealand, Portugal, and Spain. It's not clear from the story what's happening in the United States.
So there's nothing that gets people more angry than taking away something that you gave them for free. Right? If you give them something for free and then say you have to pay for it, they totally freak out and are really upset about it. You're better off charging them for something and then charging them more for it, because they'll be happy, at least reluctantly, to pay for it. And as someone who has allowed any number of coworkers, colleagues, nieces, roommates, an entire college dorm somewhere in Poughkeepsie using my accounts. And every now and then I would go up and go, who are all these people that are using my Hulu account? Who is watching this? Who's watching this Netflix show? It's a necessary evil that Netflix has to do. I don't think they handled it correctly. There might have been, I don't know what the answer was to do it, but they're in a spot where a lot of these streaming services are, where they have to find ways to monetize the people who are watching. I think that if I were in charge of Netflix, I would have gone to commercials. I would have said, if you want to continue watching without commercials, pay more.
Well, isn't there a Netflix alternative on streaming where you pay? It's a cheaper I think
yeah,
there is.
But
pay,
I mean, but I would leave it as it is. You can share. I wouldn't crack down on the passwords, because the other thing is you have kids that don't live at home with you. You know, the idea is that you have to log in from your home Wi-Fi.
That's the
and that's the trick, because you know, if I'm paying for 5 memberships, it shouldn't matter where they are.
You just admitted to 5 federal crimes.
I have indeed. Well, I've got gambling, I've got being a bookie, I've got scamming the mafia. Every time I come here, I'm in trouble.
Somebody texted said they want an entire show on your wild and crazy life over there in Revere. They're interested. They want to know more, Sue.
The 60s and 70s.
Podcast.
Well, we could do our Royals on one day.
That's
and then
right.
We could do growing up in gritty greater Boston cities with Marjorie and Herb Albert at A&M Records.
You did?
I did indeed.
You're
yes,
kidding.
I worked for Herb Albert.
What'd you do for him?
I did record promotion in New England for
I didn't know
A&M
that.
Records.
Did you get to meet him?
I did, and every time he would come out, Herb Albert and Jerry Moss were the owners, A&M, and whenever.
Oh.
There you go.
I had no idea.
Whenever Herb Albert would walk out to meet with us, we'd all sing. Bup, bup, bup. Bup, bup, bup. Bup, bup, bup.
Did he smile?
Bup, 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 bup. Yeah, he would get along with it. So, of course, Burt Bacharach wrote This Guy's in Love with You, which Herb Albert kind of sang. So I'm not going to sing it, but I will leave you with bup, bup, bup.
I like it.
Okay, Sue.
Didn't get quite the reaction from the crowd that Callie
did. The band
did.
loves it right here. They're ready to go.
I don't think, actually, none of them
smiling.
liked it, as far as I can
Okay. We've been
Sue,
we
that was
don't
sad,
mind.
by the way. That
I
was
can't
really
sing either,
pathetic.
so
Best I
we're in
can
the
do.
same boat. Media Maven and I. We're in the same place.
I'm
I
no
see,
Callie
Sue.
Crossley.
Yes, she really belted it out there, old Callie. Who knew?
She did. She was fabulous.
Anyway, we're speaking with Sue O'Connell, our media maven. She's the co-publisher of Bay Windows and South End News and contributed to Current on NBC LX and NECN. Thanks a lot, Sue. Coming up,
to see you,
a real treat. Boston-based bluegrass band Mile 12 is going to play for us right here in the Boston Public Library for Live Music Fridays. They are next. Mile 12. You're listening to Boston Public Radio 89.7 GBH, broadcasting live from the Boston Public Radio
Library.
From the Boston Public Library. Thank you, Jim. What would I do without you? I don't know.
no idea.
There's so
That's a
many
good question.
mistakes I make.
Let's talk about that in a little while.
We are streaming.
You count on Boston Public Radio for context, analysis, and insight. And Boston Public Radio counts on you. Pitch in and keep the conversation going. Call 888-897-9424 or give online at gbhnews.org.
Okay, we have some clarification from Pam from Burlington on the earbuds falling out of your ear front. Apparently, the little leash for the earbuds, as Paul called them, is the eyeglasses. Same thing as the eyeglasses have. You attach your eyeglasses to those. So maybe
How's
you can.
that? You
I don't know. I had to go to CVS
that was useless
and
help.
investigate
Thank
it
you.
myself. But that's what Pam from Burlington says.
Fine.
And according to her, it works quite well.
Well, I don't think it's an issue. I think you're the only person who ever had them fall out in the mulch in 30 minutes.
Well,
so
maybe
it's
the only
not
person
an
who had them fall out in the mulch, but you can. They can fall out elsewhere.
They can?
And that's really a problem.
Okay, fine.
But anyway, that's what we are offering today for $10 a month. If you are a subscriber for $10 a month, we will give you those GBH earbuds, and they're pretty nice. And I should also point out to people, I haven't said this today, that you can do this really, really quickly. We have, as we say, operators standing by. And if you call 888-897-9424, you can get your contribution made really, really quickly, or you can go online and do it at gbhnews.org. But the sustainer thing is what we really appreciate because it enables the people who do the budgets here to know what we are going to have in the wallet for the upcoming year. But you don't have to donate that much money. You can give us $5 a month. You can just give us $5, period. No, is it $5 a month?
Anything you want to give.
To become a new member here.
Just give some, will you?
Give something. That's the bottom line.
Where are we again? The Boston Public Radio?
With the Boston Public Library, and we are broadcasting
Who are we and
live.
why are we here?
The number, again, 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
It's amazing we have jobs. I know that's what you're thinking. We were amazed every single
That's right.
day either.
I feel I am a representative of people who thought they could never be on the radio.
Exactly.
Here I am.
Oh, a lot of people
Nonetheless.
texting saying that very same thing. No, they're not. That was a joke. Don't say it. It was not sadistic on my part. It was a big joke.
Okay.
In any case, almost all of our money comes from listeners like you. Be part of that group. And if you're not part of the group, think about it for a second. Why am I not part of that group? I'm listening to the radio. Next Tuesday, I'm going to spend an hour at the library or listening with the mayor. I'm going to spend another hour next Tuesday with the attorney general. Later this month, I'm going to spend an hour with the governor. Maura Healey's going to join us at the library. You're going to hear some unbelievable music in about 2 minutes, and we've heard them already. They are spectacular. Sue O'Connell, Callie singing, everyday. I mean, think about what you get here. And what seems to me to be fair is if you can afford to do something to help support that work, do it. And by the way, it's not just us. We're pretty proud of what we do. We are really proud of the people we work with. There are fabulous shows on this station from dawn to dusk, 7 days a week. They only work if you decide to support them. It's not just people in the air who get paid. It's also all the wonderful people working behind the scenes to bring this stuff to you. So if you care about it and you use it, pay for it a little bit at gbhnews.org or 888-897-9424.
Yeah, we have a lot of Callie fans here, obviously.
Well, she was great.
And Callie is on Basic Black tonight at 7:30. That's
She
on
is.
every week. It's a great show. Different panelists talking about issues involving the Black community and politics and all that kind of stuff. And she also does her commentaries Monday morning. And she's on Sunday night from 6 to 7. I mean, she had a great show last week. It was focusing in on community servings, which is a great program
Fabulous
for people that have, they might be dealing with cancer, they might be dealing with diabetes. They make
Medically tailored meals.
Yes,
Yeah.
curated to your particular
Curated, right, that's the word.
illness. So it's absolutely wonderful. So we have 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week programming. So if you can give something to support that, 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org is where you can give securely online, and we appreciate whatever you can give.
Trusted, local, news. You're listening to 89.7 WGBH, HD1 Boston, online at gbhnews.org. GBH News with NPR. What matters to you?
Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. Jim Browdy and Marjorie. We're live at the Boston Public Library, streaming online at youtube.com/GBH News. This is Live Music Friday. Ordinarily, we talk to a couple of the players before they play, but Marjorie and I heard them play before, and we didn't want to wait. So the way this is going to work is they're going to play for us, talk to us, and then play a little more in a couple of minutes. The name of the group is Mile 12. They'll tell you where the name came from in a minute. They are Boston-based. In a couple of minutes, their lead vocalist and banjo player is going to join us to talk, as I say. Their new album, out very recently, is Close Enough to Hear, and they're about to play for us Close Enough to Hear. Here they are, Mile 12.
Just the thought of you this was enough to make me smile. So pleased to feel I haven't seen you for a while. We're standing in the dark on a purple night, baby. You're gonna put your blue jeans. That's not rain. Love you, though I knew you couldn't. May the sunshine light upon you. May you always have one. Someday, someday, I might think to say I love you. You are close enough to you. The wind was blowing gently, and I stood sentry at the fire. Evening sun was sinking lower, flames were reaching high. Felt the laughter rumbling through me as the moon began to felt the wind go right. Losing any super time. Day I love you, though I knew you could hear. May the sun shine bright above you. May you always have hope here. Though today I am far from you, someday soon when we are, I will think to say I love you. Though I knew you couldn't hear. May the sun shine bright above you. May you always have hope dear. Though today I am far from you, someday soon when we I will think to say I love you. When you are close enough to hear.
Two of the players in the band are going to join us. Evan Murphy, who was on guitar, and he was the one singing there, and BB Bowness on banjo. Did I pronounce your last name right, BB? BB Bowness. Their fellow players are Nate Sabat on upright bass. Did I pronounce that right, Nate? Thank you very much. Ella Jordan on fiddle. Thank you, Ella. You're great. And Corey Brodsky on mandolin. All three of you were great. Welcome, Evan. BB, it's great to have you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. So, Evan, I read that song, which was very romantic and very loving, was about people missing each other during the pandemic?
That's right, right. But it's actually written to my brothers, which I think it sort of sounds like it could be like a love song. Well, it is a love song.
Yeah.
It's a love song to my two brothers who I was missing really at the beginning of the pandemic during the lockdown. I'm lucky enough to have my family here in Boston, and we get to see each other a lot. So even just going a few weeks without seeing them was weird. And I also wrote it kind of about my nephew, my oldest brother's son, who's here, actually.
He is? Where's the nephew?
Yeah, he's over there.
What do you think of the song, honey? I think he likes it quite a bit.
Well, filial love, then, put it that way, right? Filial love.
So this is a Boston-based band, except for a New Zealander here or there. Is that correct? Hello, New Zealander. How are you? What do you think of Jacinda Hearn? Let's really get down to it. How fabulous is she?
She's great. I'm sad that she retired.
I'm sad, too.
Yeah.
How'd you get involved with these people?
I moved to Boston on a whim. I had my banjo and my backpack, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to move to America and play the banjo.
Is that really what happened?
That's what happened. And the reason I moved to Boston was because a picker friend of ours, guitar player, was like, move into our house. We have lots of pickers in the area, and I'll give you cheap rent. So that's what I did.
So the most famous banjo player I know in the world, I hope you're not offended by this, I don't think you will be, is Steve Martin. You have a Steve Martin connection, I am told. Is that correct?
Kind of. I've never met him, unfortunately, because I think he's hilarious. But I was lucky enough to win the Steve Martin Banjo Prize in 2020, I think it was.
That's pretty great. Congratulations.
There's a lot of people that are
great.
trying to win that prize. So how'd you do it?
Oh, bribery.
So Evan, tell us a little bit about your band. I mean, they started a while ago. Then the pandemic came. Now you got this album coming out. Give us a little background.
Yeah, we really got started around 2015, and I know like a lot of people don't immediately associate Boston with bluegrass music, but there's a real scene here. I went to Boston College, but a few of the people in the band were from the Berklee College of Music, and there's just a strong folk scene and an acoustic music scene here. And we really got to meet each other at the Cantab Lounge, because they would have bluegrass jam every Tuesday night. So we just got to be friends, and we're all like around the same age, and let's try doing it full time. So it's been full time since then.
And where's the name Mile 12 come from, please?
Yeah, so that's the mile marker. I think it's mile 12 point something, but it's at the Boston city limits on Route 93. So we've passed that many times. Yeah, it's right. It's like the city limits, right?
So why are you not called Mile 12.6 or
right.
something like that?
It just didn't have enough of a ring to it. Yeah.
So when I heard. When I wrote notes to introduce you, I had bluegrass, and then I listened to you a lot this morning and last night. I would call this bluegrass-y.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
what is it exactly? It's not pure bluegrass. It's something.
Right. I mean, the best that I feel like I can describe it is that we're not writing and arranging within bluegrass stereotypes, but we're using the instrumentation. Mm-hmm. So it's like we're using a strict bluegrass quintet, but we're writing and arranging how we like in a contemporary way.
Banjo's having a huge renaissance, is it not? I mean, it is, right?
It
not
is
just
in my house.
No, but it is. I mean, it's sort of. I when I was young, I was not crazy about the banjo, and it's not Steve Martin who did it. It's sort of been integrated more into the kind of music I listen to, and it seems to be sort of wildly popular now.
It does pop up, yeah. You turn on Netflix or whatever, and there's, you're like, whoa, what's that? It's banjo.
So how different is the guitar and the banjo string-wise and fingering-wise?
Really quite similar, actually.
Yeah.
I would say the main difference is the drone string on the banjo. There's this little half string. It's like they didn't quite finish baking it in the oven. But otherwise, 3 of the strings are the same. So if you're a guitar player, you can
pick play
up the
banjo really easily.
The right hand is quite different too. I use these finger picks and I pluck, pluck, pluck. Evan uses the picking, jumps up and down.
Yeah, I've never seen those things before. You get on your fingers there.
Oh,
Phoebe.
these,
those are very impressive. So tell us about the bluegrass scene in Boston. And we talked a lot with Brian O'Donovan, who does Celtic music every Saturday afternoon here at GBH from 3 to 6. He also does a big Celtic Christmas event every year about the music scene here. You mentioned the Cantab Lounge, Evan. I mean, there is a big music scene that we don't really necessarily read about or hear talked about in the news.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's like an acoustic music scene, the folk music scene, and bluegrass is part of that. Even like Brian's daughter, Ifo Donovan, had a band called Crooked Still, which was a huge influence on us. And then other bands like Della Mae or the Lonely Heartstring Band that are bluegrass bands that have come out of Boston. Even like the infamous String Dusters kind of had some of their roots here, and Molly Tuttle, and like a lot of people with roots in Berkeley or Boston.
And Mumford & Sons was kind of an inspiration?
Yeah, so that there's, like you were talking about with the renaissance of the banjo, there's this mainstream bluegrass phenomenon, or bands like Mumford & Sons or the Avett Brothers or Old Crow Medicine Show who really make it into the mainstream. And then I feel like, Nate, our bass player, heard some of that stuff. I heard some of that stuff in college, and then went deeper into the genre from there.
I want to add one more line about Brian. What you said was true, but it goes beyond that. Brian has done as much to cultivate and advance the local music scene in Greater Boston as anybody on the planet. He has just done incredible.
Well, they just had a great
work.
Celtic music concert at the Sinclair, where you guys are going to be March 2nd, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You're on the new album, yes?
Yes.
BBR. So tell us about it.
It is 10 tracks long. It's all original music. Our bass player sings a song. Our fiddle player sings a song. A lot of them are Evan original songs, which are quite fabulous. I can say that because I didn't write them.
Thank you.
And we all just, we play on it. It's very kind of Americana, I would say, but with bluegrass instrumentation.
When did that come out?
It came out a few days ago. February.
The 3rd, right?
February 3rd.
Yeah.
And you guys historically have performed like crazy, and I assume COVID slowed that down to almost nothing. Is that what did you do during COVID?
Well, I wrote most of this
Is that
album.
so?
Yeah, because I was stuck at home. And
Yeah, how hard was that? We've talked to a lot of performers who were in total misery. I assume you were too?
Yeah. I mean, I really wrote a lot of the songs because I didn't know what else to do with myself. I would just wake up and I had to have something to do, kind of. Yeah, so I started.
So what'd
writing.
she do? If you were right, what the hell were you doing?
I wrote one tune.
Is that true?
It's on the album.
It is?
It's on the album, yeah.
Oh, great. What's the name of the song?
It's called Hoppin' Around Telluride.
Hoppin' Around Telluride.
Yes.
So March 2nd, you're at the Sinclair. Is that starting a new tour deal too? If people haven't been to Sinclair, it's great, by the way. But
It
go
is
ahead.
great.
Yeah. So and then
Really
that's
close to the stage.
Yeah, we're playing at the Sinclair March 2nd. That's a big room, so we're trying to really get the word out. So tell everyone you know.
Sinclair March 2nd. Have you heard that? That's where you're performing.
Yeah, that's right.
What are you playing for us in a couple of seconds here?
So we're playing a song that I wrote that's based on the Odyssey, and it's a chapter in the Odyssey where Odysseus is kind of starting to have feelings for this other woman that he meets, and I was wondering, did he start to have doubts about whether to keep going home?
So this one is not about your siblings or your nephew.
Right. That's right. That's
okay.
Right. Yeah.
Evan and Bibi, it's great to meet you and your colleagues. They're going to go back to their partners here and play. Great to see you both. Thank you. It's called Mile 12. They're at the Sinclair on March 2nd. The new CD is out, Close Enough to Hear. I listened to it this morning. It is really spectacular. And they're locals.
You know what's great about the Sinclair, too? You can sit down on the ground floor, or you can kind of be around it above, and little tables up there, and you can bring your beer, your wine, or whatever it is up there, and kind of look over the bands playing, which is kind of a really nice feature.
Nothing like live music in Boston. Here they are. Well, I was going to say here they are, but Evan's back has turned to us, which is not a good sign. He's turning around. He's approaching the mic. That is a good sign. Nod like this, Evan, when you're... Oh, he is ready to play, and here they are for another tune, Mile 12.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Kiss me and teach me how to breathe. Wake me 'cause I don't wanna leave this world just yet. We waiting out here in the sun for someone to come, or is this one last illusion that you're leaning wide upon the line, rocking like a sail in the wind in the sun? We haven't known each other long, but we're together in this song, and I can't help but ask you to take me as I am. Every night my wife came in a dream, lying in our bed in a tree. Down beside me, and I walked to sleep on the boat, tired and then sleeping toward the horizon. Now I find I'm safely on the shore. Sand is warm, but this place is all that I was looking for. So where's it written down that I must fight, that I must sail on through the night? I could live up to the sun with you, if only you would take me as I am. Take me as I am. Take me as I am. Monsters out upon the sea. I took the king I want for I got his place for love to me. Now my fingers fought across my skin, and we left this journey at least tonight there's nowhere else on. Take me as I am. as I am. Take me as I am.
B.B. Baroness on the banjo, Nate Sabat on the upright bass, Evan Murphy on guitar, Ella Jordan on fiddle, Corey Brodsky on mandolin. They're going to be at the Sinclair in March. They've got a brand new album, Close Enough to Hear.
You guys are great.
It's out
Thanks,
now,
guys.
and it's
Great.
a real treat. Thank you very, very much
Thanks.
for
Let's
coming.
hear
in.
it
We
for
really
him again.
appreciate it.
Fabulous.
Coming up, we're going to open the lines at 877-301-8970, 877-301-8970 to solicit your help as we grapple with our stretch of 50 and 60-degree weather in February for the next few days. Where has Boston's winter gone? How guilty are you feeling eager about
Support Boston Public Radio on GBH. Listener contributions pay for the program and keep it on the air. You don't have to give much to make a difference. Please make a difference by giving now at gbhnews.org or by calling 888-897-9424.
Okay, we've been talking a lot about the GBH earbuds today. They come in a very nice little white case with the purple GBH 897 logo on it. They're very cute. The earbuds, of course, inside. Well, they're only available till 2 o'clock. So if you're interested in getting these earbuds, you only have about, 40 minutes to go, Jim, and 40 minutes to the end of our show. And we'd like to get people to contribute during our show so we can beat all our other colleagues and collect more money during our show.
By the way, I'm sorry.
What?
Great audience today. Did you see who was just here?
Barbara
Legendary
Lynch.
chef and
Famous
restaurateur,
restaurant, yeah.
Barbara Lynch.
It's one of the best
Dr.
restaurants
Catherine
around.
Gergen Barnett,
Oh, my
who is
goodness.
intimately involved in every day of Boston, which we had a wonderful time with early in the show. That's the kind of thing you get here if you support the work that we and our colleagues do on 89.7 GBH.
You know,
And what?
media maven Sue O'Connell was
What'd she
interviewing
do?
the doctor on her show the other night. Before they went on, she wanted to get a diagnosis for her rash on her wrist. You know that before
On the
they went
air?
on the air. Before they went on the air.
I think that's illegal.
It's kind of a side little business.
We've never done that, have we?
Oh no, we've never done that. No. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
She's essentially become our personal physician. Let's face it. It's like everything else in this show. It's all
Doctor,
about
before
us.
we go on the air,
I
can
think
you tell me
that's-
about this
it's
rash I
unethical,
have on the
actually.
inside of my ankle?
Okay, back to the subject at hand. See what I have in my hand? What are these, Marjorie?
Those are I was just talking about that.
I know,
They're
but
done
I'm
at
holding
2
them up
o'clock.
right now. It's
the GBH
unbelievable.
earbuds.
They're done in 37 minutes.
Right.
$10 a month, or $120 all at once. You get these fabulous earbuds. Their case is embossed with GBH 89.7. They are really high quality, but as we've said 1,000 times today, if you either can't afford that or have no interest, then give whatever you can. $5 once, $5 a month, $5,000 a month. People do, by the way, whatever you can afford to support the work that we and our colleagues do. And I have to say, this studio, I hadn't even thought, this costs something.
It does.
This is,
yes,
I would argue,
does.
the most magnificent radio studio in America. Newsfeed Cafe, people sit, they talk to each other, they have a cup of coffee, they eat, and this wonderful radio and TV studio. It costs money, and you help pay for it when you go on gbhnews.org or call 888-897-9424.
You know, we're not here at night. I should point that out.
We will be soon, though, we believe.
But well, exactly. And if you ever come by here at night, this place looks magical. It looks like the Starship Enterprise, and it's really cool. And we do hope to be here at night, too. But right now, we're just here during the day. We very much appreciate your listening. We very much appreciate the listener comments that you have sent us today. And we appreciate your helping to contribute to all the shows that are here, not just ours, although selfishly, I do like it if you contribute to ours while we're on the air. But we have a lot of great programming here. Morning edition, afternoon edition, all the weekend shows, Callie show that I mentioned on Sunday night. So anyway, the numbers again, or the number I should say, is 888-897-9424, and the website is gbhnews.org.
Welcome back to Boston Public Radio, live from the library, streaming online at youtube.com/GBH News. You know, winter is supposed to bring calm, a pull of, silence, inactivity, a time to lay fallow and hibernate as we wait for longer, warmer days. But with temperatures in the 50s and 60s, I don't know if it hit 60 today, but it was supposed to, and no snow anywhere in the forecast, where did our winter go? For the past couple of mornings, you might be forgiven thinking it's April, sounds of birds coming through your window. We talked about this yesterday with Arthur Brooks. This was really a good discussion. You loved it, I know. How to navigate mixed emotions. So we want to know, how do you navigate mixed emotions in the winter? I assume you're loving the fact that it's 60 degrees today. I mistakenly said this day in summer before. It is not this day in summer. It feels like this because of climate change. So how do you deal with the mixed emotions that I know the two of us feel is miserable about the fact that why we are experiencing what we're experiencing is bad news, climate change, but the product of it is totally joyful in the middle of February. 877-301-8970.
You know, I just got a text from Dan in Boston who says he's a gardener. I'm not a gardener, but I'm a beginning gardener.
I know you are.
And he says, I am worried my plants are starting to get confused and showing signs of coming out of winter rest faster. And that's true. You start to see the crocus or crocuses, whatever you.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember last time this happened, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but the crocus started to come up.
I know.
And then they don't know
what to
get
do.
Killed because it got freezing again. So it's very confusing for the plant life. It's very confusing for the animal life. I worry about, infestations and allergies and stuff, and it's just a weird time. So you're right, it's total mixed emotions. I'm done with the snow for the most part. It's pretty, but in 5 minutes it's dirty because
it's the same thing though, Marjorie. I don't like snow either, but it's the same deal. We don't have it for the same reasons.
We don't have it for the same reasons because we are warming up around here, and you read about the ski areas up in New Hampshire and Vermont and Maine. They can't even make snow unless it gets below a certain temperature. So you wonder how long those industries are even going to survive here in New England. How much has skiing been a part of, even if you can't afford to go away to some place where you're going to pay a fortune. You can go right up to the Blue Hill, you can go to Wachusett, you can go to one of these places and ski. And I think that its days are numbered around here.
Our number is 877-301-8970, both for calling and texting. In a moment of total seriousness, Arthur Brooks was actually really helpful to me yesterday. And I know, as I said, you were really into the piece he wrote in the discussion about mixed emotions. He said, Americans, did he say his wife says this all the time? Americans think everything either has to be fabulous or horrible. You can have mixed emotions about things, and that's what I have here. So I'm more comfortable with it. I can be really upset that there's a reason, not a good reason, why it's 60 degrees today, and at the same time luxuriate in the warm weather, right?
Yes, and the reason I love that piece is there are certain things you're not supposed to have mixed emotions about, like, say, your children. You're not supposed to have mixed emotions about your children. I think you feel guilty if you have mixed emotions about your children. He was kind of relieving that guilt, saying you can love your children and be upset about this. Or you can...
Don't you have mixed emotions about almost everything?
Well, now that I think about it, I realize that I'm a barrel of mixed emotions. The problem with having mixed emotions, they're very upsetting, Jim. That's what we also learned. So you know what we're supposed to do about those mixed emotions, which I hate?
Yeah.
The for list and the against list. I don't really want to spend my life making the for and against list. You know what I mean?
I have mixed emotions
I want to make
about
up my
those lists.
mind. I want to make up my mind.
Let's take a call. Mary in Rhode Island, you're first on the Mixed Emotion segment here on Boston Public Radio. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
We love those things.
Thanks, Mary.
Welcome.
Thanks. Well, I love winter. I love all 4 seasons. That's what I love about living in southern New England. So I do love all 4 seasons, but I love the snow as well. And we have one small ski place here in Rhode Island called Yadu Valley. They've got about 8 trails, and sadly, I think they've been able to be open maybe 1 week all winter long this year. So I feel really bad for them as a business because they just can't be open. So I'm waiting for the big snowstorm right now, hopefully.
Mary, I think you're singing the exact tune here. That it's a mixed deal. I mean, Paul from Worcester just texted and said, I have no doubt, one wet, heavy, slushy, cold snowstorm before spring. But today I'm sitting out on my deck with Pepper the Wonder Dog, not sharing a big fat homemade Reuben sandwich with homemade pickles and homemade potato chips with the dog. Unfortunately, poor Pepper the Wonder Dog. But that's it. Today you can sit out on the porch and have your lunch with, maybe a jacket on. On the other hand, this is not the way it's supposed to be.
So here's Benjamin in Brighton. 60 in February. I might not own a Tesla like some flashy public radio star. What kind of fraud is that? But I do ride my bike as much as possible, fight climate change, and feels wicked good and warm, sunshiny days like today. So there's a classic example of someone accepting the mixed emotions that go with it. Demetra, you're in Maynard. You're on Boston Public Radio. Hi.
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 I'm a long-time listener
Love
and
it.
a member. I design and install landscapes, so I hate climate change. I hate this weather, but I love it too. And so what I do about it is I plant as many native trees and shrubs as possible, and that's all I can do. So I don't know.
You make the best of a
enjoy
bad situation. Hey, Demetra, could you respond to what Marjorie in that texter said about crocuses and other things that come up months before they should, and then all of a sudden they're shocked by the cold? They're screwed, right?
Not really. You can throw some leaves on top if you're really worried, or some good, natural mulch. But they usually make it through just fine.
Oh, did you hear that, Marjorie?
Mine didn't. Mine died.
Oh, that's sad. Well, call Demetra.
I guess I didn't cover them up, though. That was my mistake. I should try that this year, Demetra.
Yeah, you should leave all the leaves. Everyone who takes all their leaves away, you're killing your ground, and that kills the plant.
And you know what else? The daffodils, right? They come up pretty early, too.
Yeah, but they really tend to be okay. But like I said, if they're coming up and you're worried, just throw some mulch on them. They'll be fine.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Demetra, call us more often. I know it's the first. We could use a little advice like that. Thank you very much for the call.
We just got a text from someone whose husband plows for a living.
I saw.
You're not doing very well this year trying to plow for a living, are you? I know somebody made like $10,000 in one season out plowing all the time.
Well, there's also a wonderful guy that's got a small business who plows our street and our sidewalks for a modest amount of money, and I assume he's made not a nickel through this winter. So there are a lot of sufferers.
We're talking about our mixed emotions. We have learned now that it's okay to have mixed emotions, whether it's about your spouse or whether it's about your kids, whether it's about your job, your co-host. Mm-hmm. We could go down the line on that one, Jim, but we won't do it. We should. However, we're talking about that today in terms of the weather. How do you feel about it? It's really warm outside, but on the other hand, this means that the Mother Nature is not reacting the way we expect Mother Nature to react. We're going to take a quick pledge break, and we'll be right back. The number to reach us out is 877-301-8970. You can call or text at that number. We are broadcasting on YouTube at youtube.com/GBH News, and we're at the Boston Public Library.
Boston Public Radio. Live, local conversations. every day brought to you by listener support. Now it's your turn to keep the conversation going with a contribution in any amount. Call 888-897-9424 or give online at gbhnews.org.
Okay, the earbuds are only available to 2 o'clock if you want those. If you want Jim and me to get credit for your donating, you only have a few more minutes to do that too, because the show ends at 2 o'clock, then we are shut off in terms of getting credit for donations. I'm going to read some of these listener comments.
Please.
Because they make me feel good. Here's Peter in Wenham. Thank you both, Jim, both, for your brilliant insights.
It's a typo, I think, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, this is a good one, too. This is from Meredith in Somerville. Thanks so much to everyone at GBH for all that you do. For all of us, you're doing so much not only to keep us informed, but to keep us going, bring us together, and give us energy to carry on. Thank you, Meredith. Listen to this one. This is from Pia in Attleboro. Thank you for providing reliable news and information. I feel like I don't have to fact check what I learn on GBH. I also don't have to listen to loud and cheesy jingles,
well, that's
which
singing
is
your tune.
A great point. You know, it's so frustrating. I think a lot of us have gotten used to recording shows we like, or switching around on the radio, or you have different kinds of, or you listen to podcasts that don't have commercials in them. Maybe they do at the beginning or the end, but they're short. It is really hard for me to listen to anything anymore, to sit through commercials.
We used to do that.
We used to do that, and it's awful. You could eat a 3-course meal during the commercials
I
we
did,
had.
actually.
And we all know what Jim was selling. We won't go into that today.
Let's not.
Anyway, the number is 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
Now, you know what all those people with those beautiful comments have in common, Marjorie? What do they share? They all made contributions.
Oh,
they didn't just write a nice note.
That's right.
Every single one decided that this station was important enough to them and their families and their lives to contribute whatever they could. They went either to gbhnews.org or called 888-897-9424. If you feel like those people feel, and you want to do what they did, we hope you do, just go to that website, gbhnews.org, or call 888-897-9424. Every day there's some fabulous gift. Today is those earbuds, the hi-fi stereo earbuds, 89.7 GBH in Boston. The case, $10 a month, $120 all at once. As Marjorie said, it's gone as an offer in 25 minutes. If you're into that, they are great, and do it if you can afford it. If you can't, do whatever you can to become invested, literally and figuratively, into this wonderful organization where we're lucky enough to work, 89.7 GBH. Again, gbhnews.org, 888-897-9424. Don't wait and then forget and feel bad that you didn't contribute. If you intend to, do it now, gbhnews.org, 888-897-9424. Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. We're live at the library, streaming online at youtube.com/GBH News. If you're just tuning in, we're taking calls on essentially the disappearance of winter. It's not just today. I just looked up. It's 59 degrees. It's essentially this whole winter. There's been virtually no snow other than that horrible day a week ago, Saturday, I think, or last Saturday, whatever it was, the minus 10 degree thing. There essentially has not been winter. And every time we have a day like today, Marjorie and I talk on the air about how guilt-ridden we feel that we're enjoying the day. And then we talked to Arthur Brooks from the Atlantic and Harvard yesterday, and he said to us, it's okay. And most of us do have mixed emotions. And this is a classic mixed emotion kind of thing. Hate the cause, climate change, love the product, and maybe you can do both.
Listen to this from Dave in Rhode Island. You're singing my tune, Dave. The only thing I am certain of is my own ambivalence.
Yeah.
I love that one.
No, it's true.
But Gio in New Hampshire says he has no mixed emotions. The world is on fire. Cindy, also from New Hampshire, says she has daffodils coming up in Milford, New Hampshire, which is not good. However, Flavia from Rockport points out, she's a gardener. She says, for other worried gardeners out there, use more native plants. They're less likely to come out of dormancy too early compared to other non-native ornamental plants. So there you go.
Shame on all the meteorologists. Not all. Most of them did the right thing. Shame on those meteorologists who've written or spoken about the weather today and fail to mention the cause. I mean, that's the only way you deal with it, is constantly in people's consciousness.
Yeah.
And
I'm so glad people applaud that. That drives me nuts when you listen
You're the one I got it
to
from.
CNN or a lot of meteorologists were climate change deniers.
It's a lot better than it was.
They've changed, but when we talk about these things and you don't weigh in, not everything is climate change,
Yes,
but
that's
climate
true.
change makes the extremes more likely, and that's what's happening. We're warming up. Out here, the waters are here are warming up faster than almost any place else in the United States.
Gulf of Maine, fast. In the world.
In the world.
In the world.
The Gulf of Maine. Look at all the lobsters. They have to keep going north and north and north and north and north.
Let's go to Elizabeth in Providence. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
I am both hopeful and angry. So those are my mixed emotions.
About the weather.
About climate change.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that the new generation will be able to do something about it.
But
related to science.
But
and also, I'm very, very angry that science has known about this, and so have the gas and oil.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you for your call. One of the great services that Bill McKibben, one of the great leaders of our time, noted environmentalist, wrote The End of Nature in the late 80s that in part started this awareness that hopefully most of us have, is he has written about and cited the research that shows the fossil fuel companies knew decades ago exactly what the cause was, in some ways better predicted the horror than the scientists who observed it. And talk about shame on them.
Did you mention where the scientists work?
Well, go ahead.
Exxon.
Oh, at Exxon. Yeah, ExxonMobil was one of the ones.
ExxonMobil that employs some of the brightest brains on that kind of thing. Their people predicted that way back in the 70s, as Elizabeth referred to. Listen to this. This is from Lucy in Walpole. It's all my fault. We haven't gotten any snow. Our snowplow company offered a flat rate this year for the whole season. I went for it, and now we haven't had snowplowable events. Really, we haven't had one. Have we had a snowplowable event?
Not really, nothing.
Nothing, really. I mean, I shoveled like once this year, and it was about 3 inches. It wasn't
What was
even
the
a big
date
deal.
of when Charlie Baker had just taken over? Was it February 15th? What was the date in February?
The year was 2015. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was that was unbelievable. That's when you used to walk. Snowmageddon. The piles of snow were over your head, and the pile in South Boston in that parking lot.
July.
July. Was it South Boston or was it
South
Seaport?
Boston? No, I'm not sure.
It's one or the other. That's when we still had parking lots down on the Seaport. We don't have many of those anymore, but it was July before it melted. It was so huge. And if you went between people, I live near a school, and if you're walking back and forth to school, you had to either go back to back or front to front, full body contact because there was so little space that people had shoveled out.
I know this is not a revelation to anybody. Well, actually, I'm not even going to say that. You know what I am going to say? Talk about shame on people. We're talking about meteorologists. Do you think that other than the real morons in Congress, and there are a handful of really stupid people.
They're not morons.
No, there's some who are. Other than the dopes.
It's big oil.
They have kids. They have grandkids. They have siblings. They have people they love. And they're voting overwhelmingly, obviously almost all Republicans, to deny, and Joe Manchin.
I told you the whale.
Well, you voted
I
for
told
the
you the
Oldham
whale
thing.
story. People put out all this false information all the time. This drove me crazy. Someone that I know near and dear to me, who's a very smart person, said to me the other day, "I'm sick of these wind farms. They're causing all the whales to die." I said, actually, the wind farms are not causing the whales to die. There was this big whale. They were up on the shore in New Jersey.
On the beach, yeah.
And people put out this information, and people bought it. They said, "Oh, the whales were killing the whales." It's fishing tackle. It's lobster fishermen actually that are killing a lot of the whales, and it's boats that are killing the whales and the warming water. It is not wind farms, but this is what people hear on certain. Stations and from politicians who get a lot of money from the fossil fuel industry. I mean, it's really
what's
annoying.
your point there? I mean, my belief is that 99% of the climate change deniers in Congress know that they're full of it. Are you suggesting they're not and they really believe this crap? I don't buy that. They're outliers. I think the vast majority of people who vote against fixing this problem or addressing this problem know that they're doing
Donald Trump just said a couple of months ago that people are yakking about climate change all the time. What are they worried about? In 300 years, he said, the ocean is going to move up an eighth of an inch or some ridiculous thing like that. And I don't know how many people...
Would you consider him a smart person?
Well, he was smart enough to convince 75 million people to vote for him, Jim.
Michael in Virginia, you're next on Boston Public Radio. Thank you for your patience. Hi.
Well, Joe, thank you for taking my call again.
Hi.
So, I've spent the last 3 or 4 years in Virginia, and it is exponentially, like it's a summer day here right now.
How do you feel about it?
I love it, but I don't like tick season when that comes around because it's not killing the species, that ordinarily would take care of that kind of stuff. I've been here 3 years with a sojourn in Minneapolis. Even the year I went to Minneapolis, it only snowed like twice. there's something weird going on. I mean, it's like nice, but I really have mixed emotions because like in the past 3 years, so it's 71 right here now.
That's bad.
Last year at the same date, it was 55. And even then, there was no winter.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, Michael, it's 60 degrees here today. It was minus 10 a week ago. So we're living what you're living through. Thank you for calling,
Listen
as
to
always.
this. The true victims of warm weather are the local news stations. They are lost when they can't
That's a very
overhype the
fine
next
point.
bomb, cyclone, snowstorm of death. What do we call it?
Snowmageddon,
apocalypse.
snowpocalypse.
Snowmageddon. We had all those names. Yeah, it was great.
And Pete Bouchard was measuring.
Yeah, I don't think we
remember
should keep mentioning that.
Why not?
Well, I don't know. It's kind
He
of
did it on the
off
air.
color. Yeah.
It's off color. We love off color.
It was off color. Okay.
In any case, we're done with this.
We are done with
Coming
this.
up in a minute, we only have a couple minutes left in the show, but Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, right down the street at Copley Square, Marjorie and I are lucky enough to be MCs of a really important event. It's called the Winter Walk. The leader of that effort will join us in just a couple minutes to urge you to participate and to tell everybody why. That's coming up right here on 89.7 GBH.
Live, local, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Jim Browdy, Marjorie Egan, Boston Public Radio. It's here on GBH Radio because of your support. Now's your chance to keep the conversation going. Give online at gbhnews.org or call 888-897-9424.
So, go ahead.
I was going to read some listener comments.
Oh, I know we love those.
I love
Do
the
it.
listener comments. Joyce from North Kingston. My husband and I listen to both of you often. Excellent show. Some friends and I are considering coming to the Boston Public Library to see your show soon. Thank you for all you do. Joyce, you should come up here. No reservations necessary, no tickets. It's free. You just show up and hang out for a while. Get a cup of coffee or a sandwich at the Newsfeed Cafe or some nice pastry or some wonderful
huge
dessert.
fun day.
A lot of good cookies over there
Lot
at
of good
Newsfeed Cafe.
cookies.
And we'll read this from Carrie in Situate. Oh, Jim. She says, love Marjorie and all the guests. Thank you for keeping us informed. She forgot about Jim. Must have been a typo.
I guess so. We have gotten very little vicious pledge commentary about me. I guess
No, we
people are in a
haven't.
better mood. It's very
We have not
odd.
gotten very
It's
vicious.
unusual.
It's very nice. But the
Love
show
Marjorie,
is over.
then in small font, Jim too.
The show
Jim, not so much. Okay, so here's the deal.
Show's over in 15 minutes.
It's
14
over in 15
Yep.
minutes, and what happens in 15 minutes, the deal which will allow you to get for $10 a month or $120 all at once, these fabulous earbuds that are really high quality. I've tried them. I'm not just making that up. I've tried them. They're really crisp and clear and powerful. $10 a month, $120 all at once. That disappears at 2 o'clock. You give that amount and get those earbuds by going to gbhnews.org or calling 888-897-9424, or if you don't want the earbuds or you can't afford that amount of money, give what you can, small or large, by calling the same number and going to the same website and showing you support the work that we and our colleagues do.
Yeah, and we really appreciate, as I said before, for some people this has really been a tough time with inflation and everything is so expensive. So not everybody's in a position to give. But if you are, we'd really appreciate it. You can become a member for as little as $5 a month. That's all it takes to become a new member. And you get that nice little magazine. 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. We're at the Boston Public Library, streaming on youtube.com/GBH News. And by the way, if you become a member, you don't just get the magazine. You get discounts on tons of stuff. You get notice about all kinds of events that are happening. Lots of good things.
Yep.
We're joined now by Ari Barbanel, who is the executive director of the Boston Winter Walk that Marjorie and I will be participating in on Sunday. Ari, great to talk to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
We're great.
Well, after giving my big little talk here about how much I'm concerned about climate change, I have to admit, Ari, I'm really hoping it's not 10 degrees on Sundays.
Fair enough.
It was
It's
a
looking
little-
pretty nice out.
Oh, it is? Okay. So what is going on Sunday? Where, when, what's the scoop?
Yeah, we're the Winter Walk, and we're raising awareness around homelessness. And we're a year-round organization doing our work, but we come together every February, technically the coldest month of the year, and we walk together, shoulder to shoulder, housed and homeless, and everything in between. And it's happening Sunday morning. We start registering people 8:30 a.m. on Copley Plaza, right by you. And then we hear some wonderful speakers from the stage, including both of you. And then we'll take a very short 2-mile walk around the Boston Common and back to Copley for a community breakfast and music. It's a big celebration in honor of caring about ending homelessness in our city and beyond.
By the way, I have to say last year was huge, and the feel,
It was very
I can't even
slushy
describe
last
it.
year, remember?
It was a
Slushy.
really cold day, but
Yep.
the feel of the event was spectacular, from the stage out to the people
Big
in
crowd.
the back row. What do you do with what you get, both financial and in terms of support on that day, Ari?
Every dollar we raise that day from people who are walking and the donors they invite to help them out goes back to 13 local partner organizations. That number of organizations grows every year, and we want to support the good work they're doing. Many of them are on your show often, from shelter to healthcare to job training. And then we're offering year-round fundraising so that we can do educational programming in schools, so we can do storytelling with people with lived experience of homelessness, and so we can really rally a huge community to come together every February.
You know, we're going to have Jim O'Connell and Tracy Kidder on next week, and Jim O'Connell has been the physician that's run healthcare for the homeless for decades and decades. Harvard-educated guy. He decided to give up a more lucrative career to go work with homeless people. It is a great book written by the great Tracy Kidder. You probably read some of his other stuff, but
including about the guy who's the primary inspiration for this, Paul English. There's a book about Paul by Tracy Kidder. Go ahead.
So it's a wonderful book that really explains, gets rid of a lot of myths, a lot of things that people don't understand, and it really gives a great explanation of what it means in Boston to be a homeless thing. So that's great.
Hey, go ahead, Ari. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say many of the people featured in that book are members of the Winter Walk community. Some have spoken at our event. They're incredible human beings, and so this is a unified effort to change minds and hearts.
By the way, I didn't know you were on Zoom. You look fabulous in the Winter Walk hat, by the way, which you get if you come to this thing. So you can register on the morning itself starting at 8:30. Is that correct?
Correct.
And if you want to learn more about the walk and the organization, you go to winterwalk.org. Is that correct?
You got it.
Fabulous. We can't wait to see you. We'll see you Sunday morning, bright and early on Copley Square. Thanks so much, Ari. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
By the way,
Thank
it's
you
a
for your work
really
you do.
inspirational event.
Oh, it's fun.
We loved it last year. We hope you'll join us. Marjorie and I are the MCs again. We're really honored to be asked to do that. 8:30, join us right down the block.
I thought it was 9 o'clock.
No, the thing starts at 9.
Oh, okay.
You register and start showing up at 8:30.
Okay, we start showing up at 8:30. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for people listening to another edition of Boston Public Radio. Thank you very much to people getting down here to the Boston Public Library.
Yes, thank you all
really
for coming.
Appreciate that
Appreciate
too. If you haven't had enough of us, we have a podcast. You can listen to us anytime on the podcast. It is called, of course, Boston Public Radio. On Monday, we're going to be joined by the Reverends Irene Monroe and Emmett Price, GBH news analyst. He's going to give us the update on the human tragedy that is emerging, not just the people that have lost their lives, but the difficulties getting health care and food and clothing and warm shelter to the people over in Turkey and Syria. That's what Charlie Sennett is going to update us on that. Retired federal judge Nancy Gertner about the Supreme Court and a lot of other legal matters. Our crew, Zoe Matthews, Aidan Conley, Brendan Deedy, additional support from Haley Lerner, Alexi Cohen, Molly McCall, our engineer John the Claw Parker. Brian Bell is on the boards for us today. Our executive producer is Jamie Bologna, and thanks to the team at the Boston Public Library. That's Angelica Marrero, Brad Lewis, Evelyn Brito, and Sai Patel. Anything you'd like to add, Jim?
Yeah, I'm going to see you Sunday at 8:30 right down the street.
Sunday at 8:30, we'll
Copley
be there.
Square.
Be there, be square. I'm Marjorie Egan.
I'm Jim Browdy.
Thanks again for tuning in today. Thanks again for coming down to the Boston Public Library. Have a great weekend, and hope you can tune in on Monday.
Boston Public Radio today was made possible by our listener contributors, and that's just how GBH works. The money you give keeps Jim and Marjorie and Boston Public Radio here on the radio. So we're asking you to please sign up as a sustaining member during our winter membership drive. You can go online at gbhnews.org or call us at 888-897-9424. Good afternoon. I'm Mark Cohen, joined today by Jack Callahan.
And we have just about 7 minutes left to take advantage of today's very special offer. It is the GBH Hi-Fi Truly Wireless Earbuds. $10 a month as a sustainer or a one-time gift of $120. We'd love to get your name on the list to get one of these, but the offer does go away at 2 o'clock. So if you've been listening today and you've been thinking about it, the time's pretty much up. Show your support for Boston Public Radio, Jim and Marjorie right now, and take advantage of the offer. Call 888-897-9424. You can pick these up online at gbhnews.org.
Every day, GBH uses radio for the greater good, and that's to deliver trustworthy news, cultural coverage, and of course to amplify diverse voices. Every day, GBH is here to serve and inform you with the facts. So now we're asking for your financial support during this membership drive to keep this independent source for trustworthy news right here on your radio. 888-897-9424, or you can go online securely over at gbhnews.org.
Please take just a few minutes right now to make a contribution to GBH. We need just a little contact information, which we do keep private, by the way. You determine how much you'd like to give. You can sign up as a sustaining member or make a one-time gift. But in just those few minutes, you'll help ensure that Boston Public Radio is here, Jim and Marjorie, each and every weekday, 3 hours a day. 888-897-9424 or online at gbhnews.org.
And again, just about 6 minutes left to go this hour. 6 minutes left in this wonderful offer that we've had today. Your support of just $10 a month will get you our GBH Hi-Fi wireless earbuds. A special offer of $10 a month on our sustainer plan or a one-time gift of $120. This goes away in 6 minutes. So you've been hearing Jim and Marjorie talk about it. These are brand new earbuds for us. They're super comfortable. They sound great, and they're super compact. We like to say they're like a Halloween fun size. I look at them and I think it's an almond joy. That's just how delicious they are, and we want to make them yours for $10 a month. Again, this goes away at 2 o'clock, just about 5 minutes from now. So what do you say? Give us a call at 888-897-9424. We got a picture of what this looks like if you want to check them out over at gbhnews.org.
I want to shout out to Carol from Rockland for taking a few minutes to make her contribution. She also took a moment to say the regular guests like Sue O'Connell, Callie, Crossley, Andrea Cabral, John King, Chuck Todd, and others make the week fly by and add so much to the whole show. Thank you. No, thank you, Carol. Please join Carol and others right now in these waning minutes of Boston Public Radio. Show your support. Call 888-897-9424 or online at gbhnews.org.
And as Marjorie likes to point out, GBH depends on listener support for a little more than 70% of our operating budget. Your contribution right now, more important than ever, because it means that we can keep Jim and Marjorie here at the station on the air, but also to make our quarterly payments to NPR. It's quite a big bill, believe it or not. So we're asking you to please be one of the many listeners who give to GBH. Again, 888-897-9424, or look for the donate button when you join us over at gbhnews.org.
Just minutes to go to take advantage of today's really special offer, the GBH earbuds. These stereo buds offer up to 4.5 hours of playtime with an ergonomic design that helps keep the earbud in place during intense activities. $120 one time will also do the trick, but please make a difference. Make that call right now, 888-897-9424 or online at gbhnews.org.
And you know, being a member of GBH has many benefits, including access to GBH Passport. With GBH Passport, you'll get 24/7 digital access to all the public television programs that you love. You can watch as much as you want, anytime you want. And that, of course, is in addition to other thank you gifts that you choose, including our earbuds, which are going away in just a couple of minutes, $10 a month on our sustainer plan. 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
You listen to Boston Public Radio throughout the year, so why not spread your membership out the same way by signing up as a sustaining member? Here's how it works. You make a recurring monthly contribution that comes directly from your bank account or your credit card. So your contribution keeps giving all year long the way you listen all year long. It only takes a few minutes to set up, and when you do, by the way, if you need to make a change in the plan in the times ahead, you just let us know, and it happens right away. You're still in control. 888-897-9424.
Yes, Chamber Orchestra and Mozart's Clarinet Concerto.
Tomorrow on GBH2. Remember, nobody can say your guess is wrong when you're answering at home. Test your knowledge with High School Quiz Show. Tomorrow evening at 6 on GBH2.
Classical Radio Boston is WCRB-FM 99.5 HD1 Lowell, Boston, WGBH-FM HD2 Boston, WCAI-FM HD2 Woods Hole, WJMF-FM HD1 Smithfield, Providence, and at classical.org.
Just shy of 2 o'clock on this Friday afternoon. Good afternoon, I'm Greg Farisi. Thanks for being here with me. A little later, I've got Tchaikovsky's Polish Symphony, also the Second Serenade by Brahms, and Telemann's Partie Polonoise. Right now, Tarraga's Memories of the Alhambra with guitarist Jason Vio.